boy went to a new school and all the girls couldn't take their eyes off him. Every girl wanted to know who the new guy was. The bullies didn't like that, and they also wanted to know who the transfer student was. One of them thought, I need to show him who is boss in this class. The new student's name is Daegun Kwon. He sat next to Min-soo Kim. When the teacher left the room at the end of class, that guy walked over to the new student and prepared his prank. He slapped Min-soo Kim hard and said, "Hey you, go buy me some sausage bread." Min-soo Kim didn't dare resist. He could only say that class was about to start and he might not be able to go. This comment made the blonde guy behind laugh. Ho-jong's face changed as he shouted, "Everyone, close your damn eyes!" In the next second, everyone in the class actually closed their eyes, and Ho-jong slapped Min-soo Kim across the face. "You little punk, are you tired of living? When I tell you to go, you go. Do you dare talk back?" Seeing this, Daegun couldn't hold back and wanted to act, but he remembered the many rules Sammy Lee had set for him. He couldn't figure out if she wanted him to intervene or not. Suddenly, Ho-jong looked at Daegun and said, "Why didn't you close your eyes? You know, you are sitting in the seat of the person who used to run errands for me. Why don't you two go?" Daegun naturally wouldn't run errands for anyone, so he said, "Isn't one person enough?" Hearing this, Ho-jong laughed. "What? Do you two want to compare who is stronger?" Suddenly his face changed and he said, "Insolent worm, you better not waste words. When I tell you to go, you go." Daegun then stood up saying, "Sure, but give me the money." Ho-jong was surprised by this attitude. He didn't expect Daegun to dare ask him for money. He grabbed Daegun's head. "Punk, who are you asking for money? When I tell you to buy something, of course, you use your own money." Daegun finally couldn't take it anymore. "You really have no manners. Remember, you started this." In the next second, Daegun attacked. A punch hit Ho-jong's ribs with force, making him vomit his lunch. Then another punch hit his face, stunning him completely, but Daegun showed no signs of stopping. "Since I started, I must finish you off." Another heavy punch hit Ho-jong's face. Finally, Ho-jong fainted completely. The blonde guy nearby stood up in shock. Daegun said, "All kinds of trash dared to bully me." "Blondie, get out of here. Weren't you laughing out loud just now?" At this moment, the blonde guy was already scared by Daegun and didn't dare to move. Seeing this, Daegun approached. "Since you won't come to me, I will come to you. You better grit your teeth." The blonde immediately took a few steps back. Suddenly, a flying kick came towards Daegun, but he dodged with a sidestep. The blonde then threw a straight punch but missed. A right hook also missed, infuriating him to the point of cursing. "Why do you keep dodging?" In the next second, Daegun landed a super heavy punch on the blonde's abdomen, a punch that made him cry, almost losing his life. "You told me not to dodge. Let's see how many more punches you can take." The blonde immediately said, "Hitting the chest is very dangerous. People can die." At this moment, Ho-jong woke up suddenly with crooked eyes, lifting a chair to smash Daegun. Daegun wasn't worried at all. "This is the first time I see someone who can take so many hits." Then Daegun punched Ho-jong in the face again. "You better calm down." Finally, Ho-jong and the blonde were thrown to the back of the classroom by Daegun. Then he grabbed Ho-jong. "You really like bread. How about this? You go buy bread now and get mine too." Ho-jong replied, "Do you think beating me makes you the boss of the class? I am not the boss of this class. Just wait. When he comes, you are dead." Suddenly, the back door of the classroom opened. A redhead entered, looking at Daegun and saying, "Who are you? Daring to cause trouble in our class and hurt my subordinates." Manho looked at his two beaten subordinates and said helplessly, "You two couldn't handle a single person? And you, the transfer student? Do you dare be so arrogant on your first day?" Daegun saw Manho approaching, expecting a fight. The crowd moved away, but out of nowhere, Manho said, "Why so tense? Who said there was going to be a fight?" Daegun laughed at that. "Good one," but he was already ready to throw hands. "Looks like you learned some kicks." Ho-jong had faith in Manho and told the crowd to buy popcorn, but seeing Daegun looking at him, he chickened out. Never mind. Manho realized that if he didn't teach Daegun a lesson, no one would respect them anymore. He pretended to ask for Daegun's name. Daegun was about to answer, but Manho obstructed Daegun's vision with his hand while aiming for his lower parts. Daegun looked down and saw Manho lifting his leg. He thought, going for the weak point? What a dirty guy. The forbidden technique among men. Daegun quickly protected himself, but Manho pulled his leg back and punched Daegun instead. "Fell for it, dummy." Daegun didn't block and took a punch to the face. However, at the last moment, he leaned back to cushion the blow. Ho-jong and the blonde shouted, "Nice!" Manho advanced again, but Daegun gave him no chance. He swept Manho's legs. Manho lost his balance and stumbled. Daegun grabbed his collar and slammed him against the wall. Daegun mocked. "Well said. How shameful to use a low blow as a man." Manho didn't care. "So what? What's the problem? I didn't even kick you for real. It was just a test. Now you will see real strength." Daegun thought Manho was going to fight fair, but he grabbed a dustpan and threw it at him. Daegun dodged, but Manho took the opportunity to attack. Daegun thought, what a dirty fighter. Daegun couldn't find an opening to attack, so he dodged everything. Manho, pissed off, "Stop running." Suddenly Manho shouted to someone else, "Stop! This guy is my rival." Daegun thought someone was going to attack by surprise, but it was just a regular student. Manho used the distraction to throw a punch, but Daegun blocked it. Manho tried to poke Daegun in the eyes, but he dodged everything. Daegun got irritated and decided not to go easy. A left hook landed and blood burst from Manho's nose. He passed out instantly, collapsing on the floor. Ho-jong and the blonde were shocked. "Looks like the leader of Class 1 has changed." Daegun looked at the two. "Wake him up. When he wakes up, all three of you come." Sammy Lee watched everything from a prime spot. "I wasn't disappointed with your performance. I look forward to what you will do next." But Sammy Lee was recognized by a student. "The planning director of the Educational Foundation. Why is she at school?" Meanwhile, Daegun was lecturing Manho No and the others. "You three better behave from now on. Otherwise, I can be a friend or your worst nightmare." Daegun Dagon told the whole class, if they pick on you or anyone, let me know and I'll solve it. The truth no one knows is that Dagon isn't just some random guy. The guy dropped out of school for 2.5 years and worked at a convenience store, but now he suddenly appeared at a new school as a transfer student. The thing is, the school bullies are so out of control that they no longer obey the teachers, and the only ones who scare them are other bullies, but the really hardcore ones. That is why the education department had to create a supervisor plan to control these guys, send some stronger bullies back to school to straighten out the others. So they called Dagon, who had dropped out 2.5 years ago. A few days ago, he was working part-time at a convenience store. One day, a couple came into his store and tried to buy drinks, but he refused for obvious reasons. Those brats were underage. The boss was watching everything hidden nearby, thinking, these students forced me to sell to them like this last time too. Then he ran out and said, can you resolve this outside? There are other customers in the store. Dagon was shocked. The boss was dumping everything on him. After that, Dagon was taken to a nearby alley. The tattooed guy grabbed Dagon and said, try acting tough again. Dagon just said, calm down. I give you 3 seconds to let me go. Who knew these words would irritate the tattooed guy, who raised his hand to hit him? In the next second, there was a loud noise. The girl screamed desperately, wake up! The tattooed guy opened his eyes in confusion, seeing that he had been slapped while Dagon was unharmed. The girl helped the tattooed guy up quickly. You punk, are you trying to attack me from behind? Then he whispered to the girl, go call the others. But the girl wasn't listening properly. The tattooed guy cursed angrily. Damn, I told you to call the guys, did you understand? The girl ran to call the others, and Dagon didn't stop her. The tattooed guy's friends arrived in the alley. One of them, a fat guy who looked nervous, asked, what are you doing, punk? Where are you from? Dagon looked at the newcomer and asked somewhat uncertainly, you must be a student too, right? The fat guy replied instantly, I am Odehan from Nidong School. Although I don't know who you are, take a slap, my treat. Saying that, the fat guy raised his arm. But in the next second, Dagon's hand hit his face. One slap knocked the fat guy out. Then Dagon looked at everyone. I don't have time to play with you, so come at me all at once. Hearing this, everyone charged together. They were obliterated. After he destroyed all the bullies' friends, a woman came up to him and made an offer he couldn't refuse. At first, Dagon thought she was selling something, but the woman took out a business card and said, I would like to ask a favor. The woman was Sammy Lee, the person responsible for the bully control plan of the Golden Dragon Educational Foundation. After hearing the woman's plan, Dagon thought it was quite feasible. It turns out Dagon was once a victim of bullying. Any resistance, no matter how small, resulted in a beating. And no one did anything, neither the students nor the teachers, who pretended not to see and continued the class. Once again, he was discovered by a stronger bully. Someone had stuck a note on his back saying, no mother. By coincidence, this bully also had no mother. So when he saw the note, he got very angry. He intervened and beat up the guys tormenting Dagon, and they didn't dare to fight back. Then he spoke directly. Whoever dares to mess with Dagon again will have to deal with me. Because of these words, no one made fun of Dagon anymore. This incident also made Dagon understand that at school, any word from a bully was more effective than one from a teacher. After that, to get stronger, Dagon trained constantly, learning various fighting techniques. After 2.5 years of training, Dagon finally transformed and single-handedly took down all the bullies in District R, becoming the undisputed ruler of the region. But after that, Dagon left school and became the convenience store clerk he is now. Now facing Sammy Lee's invitation, Dagon asked, you mean you want me to go deal with all those bullies? Sammy Lee replied immediately, that's right, just deal with those bullies. Dagon then said, how can you, as an educational foundation, be plotting behind the scenes? Sammy Lee leaned forward and said, although we are plotting, I also investigated your past. Although this plan is a bit absurd, I know you have no reason to refuse. This is also a good opportunity for you to make up for your past mistakes, isn't it? The next day, Dagon was at the entrance of the new school. The news that Dagon became the leader of Class 1 reached Class 3. They didn't even care. They think Manhwa no only uses low blows and surprise attacks. The leader of Class 3, Sangbo Sim, said, don't count on them. Train with me first. Where's the punching machine? Sangbo Sim went to a student. Today is your turn, and punched the student's stomach. He asked the victim to give a score for the punch. The student said 800 and vomited. How disgusting. I told you not to eat. Prepare some more sandbags for lunch. I'm gonna warm up before dealing with the transfer student. Class ended. Hojong yawned and asked if someone would do him a favor. Dagon looked at Hojong, who woke up startled. The blonde remembered, you better go yourself. Get some exercise. Hojong told him to mind his business, but saw he was mounted on another student. The blonde realized and jumped off quickly. Hojong complained, it's impossible to study in this school. Nobody does anything for me. The blonde suggested, why not challenge the new kid to a fight outside school? Hojong asked Manho, you win, right? Right? A girl teased. What a bunch of cowards. She approached Dagon all flirty. Big brother Dagon, you fight so well. Could you practice jujitsu with me? The girl saw that Dagon was looking at the notes on the board, but he ignored her and looked desperate. The girl realized he was studying and felt humiliated for being ignored. She stopped bothering Dagon and took it out on Manho. You useless idiot, study more, forget revenge. Manho recalled, now that I was defeated by Dagon, Myung-jung Kim from Class 2 and Sangbo Sim from Class 3 will bother Dagon. I don't need to fight them anymore. If they defeat Dagon, we become their doormats. Hojong heard this and got anxious. We need to think of something. I prefer to die than be their doormat. But in the next second, the leader of Class 2, Myung-jung Kim, appeared. Looking at Manho with disdain, he mocked, still alive? I heard they left you almost dead. Didn't sleep well yesterday? I heard you slept after getting beaten up. Hojong got irritated immediately. Came to make fun? Manho also stood up and said, "Want to fight? Just say it." Then he grabbed a pen from the desk. "I will make you feel what it's like to wet your pants again." Myung-jung Kim mocked, "You trash still act tough with a weapon." Manho didn't want to waste time and went forward saying, "Wait to get beaten." Myung-jung Kim replied, "We'll see who gets beaten this time." When the two were about to fight, a voice suddenly emerged. "Damn, you guys are too loud." Daegun adjusted his glasses and said, "You are disturbing my studies." Seeing this, Manho deflated instantly and went back to his seat. Myung-jung Kim looked at Daegun and said, "So this is the transfer student who defeated Manho." Then he said to Manho, "Looks like I don't need to waste time with you." Hojong was furious, wishing Daegun would teach him a lesson. Myung-jung Kim and his followers walked slowly to Daegun. He pointed at Daegun and asked his henchman, "Is it this guy? He looks like some random nerd wearing glasses like a loser." Then he leaned down to Daegun and said, "What did you just say? Repeat it if you have the guts." But Daegun completely ignored Myung-jung Kim. Myung-jung Kim thought he had scared Daegun, so he reached out to grab Daegun's hand, which was taking notes. But in the next second, he was suddenly grabbed by Daegun, who bent his fingers back forcefully. The intense pain made the veins on Myung-jung Kim's face pop out. He begged, shamelessly, "Please let go. It's killing me." Daegun said, "I need to organize my notes during this break. If you don't want your fingers broken, come find me next time." Hearing this, Myung-jung Kim just said, "Understood." Daegun then let him go. But in the next second, Myung-jung Kim swung his fist. Seeing this, Daegun leaned back and then reached out to block Myung-jung Kim's fist. Then he slapped Myung-jung Kim on the face and sent him flying. Unexpectedly, he was knocked out directly. Then Daegun said, "So this is the leader of Class 2. Why did he come looking for trouble so anxiously? I was thinking of dealing with him next time." Then he told Myung-jung Kim's henchman, "When he wakes up, tell him that if I see him slacking off again, I will finish him." After they carried Myung-jung Kim away from Class 1, Daegun felt like he was dreaming. "I didn't expect to solve Class 2 like this." Manho and the others were also stunned. Hojong said immediately, "They say forgiving others is 100 times cooler than revenge." I decided to forgive the transfer student. Even the blonde said, "I also think studying hard is more important." But they didn't see that people from Class 3, including Sangbo Sim, had also come. Sangbo Sim shouted as soon as he entered, "Manho, I heard you got beaten up." Hojong was speechless. This familiar feeling. "Did you two plan this?" But Sangbo Sim said directly, "Don't worry, I am not interested in you." Then they came directly to Daegun and surrounded him. Daegun said helplessly, "Looks like I'll have to take notes next time. Can you leave? We have business with the person next to you." Then Sangbo Sim sat next to Daegun and provoked, "Are you studying? Is your persona that of a good student? I am Sangbo Sim from Class 3. I heard you defeated Manho. I am really worried you might start bullying everyone." Hearing this, Daegun took off his glasses and said, "You guys are endless. This is very annoying. Just say what you want. Someone like you who always brings a bunch of henchmen can't be that strong. You don't think you are strong, do you?" Hearing this, Sangbo Sim laughed. "You are interesting. You seem to have guts." But Sangbo Sim didn't choose to fight at that moment. Instead, he said, "See you after class. You better be prepared. I am not like that loser, Manho." With that, he left with his followers. Daegun couldn't help but be speechless. "I am so popular on my first day of school. Looks like I can't enjoy school life properly." At that moment, Manho suddenly walked up to Daegun. Arriving at his side, he asked, "Can I sit here?" Daegun refused directly. However, Manho still pulled the chair and prepared to sit, saying, "Sangbo Sim is right. He is different from us. That guy is a true fighting expert." Daegun replied indifferently, "So what? Also, I didn't say you could sit here." Manho said, "I want to help you." Daegun looked at him suspiciously. "What are you planning?" Manho continued, "I can help you defeat Sangbo Sim." Daegun replied, "No need." Manho continued as if he hadn't heard. "Sangbo Sim has been practicing boxing since he was very young. But this guy has no interest in boxing competitions. He practices boxing for only one reason. He likes hitting human punching bags." Soon, lunchtime arrived, and Daegun went to the cafeteria to eat. This also made Daegun drool. "It's been a while since I ate at the canteen. Lately, just expired food from the convenience store." Daegun's handsomeness caught the attention of even bullies from other classes, like Sung Hwanggu, the leader of the PE class, and Dusik Kwak, the leader of the entertainment class. The news of Daegun destroying Manho and Myung-jung Kim had already run wild, but they didn't go bother him right away. Everyone knew Sangbo Sim was going to fight Daegun after class to see if he was really good. At this time, Manho and the guys were eating with Daegun. Manho was trying to convince Daegun to be careful with Sangbo Sim, but Daegun didn't even care. Then he asked Manho, "Didn't you beat him before? Why are you still so scared and helping me?" Manho sighed and said, "It's just that my fight with Sangbo Sim didn't really end. In the last fight, I almost got beaten for real. The guy is good at distance fighting and has agile footwork. Impossible to hit him, but he always found a way to attack me. And when I was almost losing, I managed to corner him. To win, I had no choice. I used my sealed secret technique, the low blow." Sangbo Sim, caught in the weakness, was forced to surrender. But afterwards, the guy didn't accept the defeat. "I swear I did nothing for him to give up, but no one recognizes my victory." Daegun couldn't help being speechless. Obviously, no one would recognize that. Manho continued, "Since then, Sangbo Sim never wanted a rematch with me, and I am helping you because if you lose, we will be forced to become his henchmen." At that moment, two insignificant figures went to Daegun. Daegun recognized immediately Sangbo Sim's henchmen. Out of nowhere, they threw something on his food tray. They pretended innocence and apologized. Daegun didn't even say anything, but the girl next to him already shouted, "Are you crazy?" But they just waved, saying, "We already apologized. Calm down. Do you accept it or not?" Then they left, not forgetting starting to mock Dagon. Instantly, Dagon grabbed one of them and said, "Who said you could go?" The commotion caught the attention of other students, everyone anxious to see if Dagon was really good. The guy caught by Dagon got scared and shouted, "Let me go! It's no big deal! Why are you grabbing me? I already apologized." But in the next second, Dagon's grip tightened. Then he said, "Accepting your apology or not is my problem." When Dagon was about to teach them a lesson, he received a message on his phone. Then Dagon let them go to check the phone. It was a message from a woman named Sammy Lee. Seeing the message, Dagon was shocked. Sammy Lee was the girl who ordered him to go back to school. If Dagon graduated, he would receive everything paid for, including college, but it had to be secret, to control his behavior. If the mission failed because of Dagon, he would go back to his previous life. Seeing the message like this, Dagon calmed down, thinking she didn't want him to attract attention. The two henchmen, seeing that Dagon wasn't caring, ran away, and Dagon ignored them. Then he scratched his forehead, thinking he had to be discreet. If it worked out, he would have the life he always wanted. Besides, it was his first day and he had already beaten too many people. Better leave the guys alone for now. The other bullies were disappointed, but saw that Dagon wasn't stupid. Then Dagon stood up and left the cafeteria. Manhua and the guys didn't understand what happened to Dagon, who changed suddenly after seeing the phone. Leaving the cafeteria, Dagon wondered if he hadn't exaggerated and what Sammy Lee would think of him. When Dagon decided not to fight anymore today, he saw the henchman who caused trouble in the cafeteria. When the guy saw Dagon, he turned quickly to run away. Dagon caught him. "Still want to run?" The guy said, "You transferred today and don't know the rules. You can't attack people from other classes. You have to defeat Sangbo Sim to give me orders. Otherwise, you become a target for the whole school." Dagon was speechless. What stupid rule is this? Then he told the guy, "Let's talk in a more private place. You don't want to get beaten here, right?" Arriving there, Dagon taught him how to behave and saw that the place was good for fighting. Then he told the guy to call the class leader. "If I defeat Sangbo Sim, I can beat you as much as I want." The guy replied, "In theory, yes, but he is busy right now. He is using people as punching bags." Dagon's face darkened. "You mean he is using students as punching bags?" The guy was surprised. "How do you know? Did you do that too?" Having the confirmation, Dagon didn't hold back anymore. "I was too naive. The important thing now is not being discreet." Then he went straight to Sangbo Sim's class. Through the window, he saw a student getting beaten. Sangbo Sim saw the figure at the door and ordered a henchman to see who it was. Opening the door, they saw Dagon's ugly face. Sangbo Sim said, "Didn't I say for us to meet after class? Are you coming now because you want to fight right away?" Then he told the students, "Move, you punching bags." But he saw the students limping to the side. Sangbo Sim went there and hugged one of them. "Stop pretending, you punk. Are you going back home to snitch?" The guy, scared, explained, "I just twisted my ankle on the way home. It's all my fault." Dagon analyzed everything around. He knew the feeling of being a punching bag too well, unable to do anything, because Dagon had been through that, getting beaten by bullies. But now he can fight back, and that wasn't why he came back. Dagon said to Sangbo Sim, "Stop taking your anger out on these weaklings. If you have guts, challenge someone stronger." Sangbo Sim was furious with this. "Are you saying that guy is me?" Dagon pointed to Sangbo Sim's henchman. "He must be tired of hitting punching bags. If he thinks it's unfair that he is my punching bag," the pointed guy got pissed instantly. "You piece of shit, are you calling me a punching bag?" He immediately advanced to punch Dagon. But Dagon dodged, grabbed his arm and collar and threw the guy. While the subject recovered, Dagon prepared the punch. Like a cannonball, the punch hit squarely. With just one blow, the guy passed out. The crowd around was shocked. What was that boom? Dagon looked at Sangbo Sim. "Not bad. Just like punching a punching machine. So many punching bags. But I need to destroy." Sangbo Sim turned red with anger, veins popping. Sangbo Sim ordered the crowd to move the tables and chairs. Dagon didn't try to stop him. He knew Sangbo Sim fought from a distance and wanted space. The news that Dagon was going to fight Sangbo Sim spread. Manhua and others ran there. Sangbo Sim finished preparing and faced Dagon. In the next second, Sangbo Sim advanced quickly. He tried a punch, but Dagon dodged to the side. Then Sangbo Sim rotated his body and sent a hook. Dagon dodged everything, admiring Sangbo Sim's quick reaction. Dagon dodged at the last instant, but Sangbo Sim was fast to attack again, until Dagon saw an opening. But Sangbo Sim realized his intention and moved away to avoid being caught. Dagon frowned. Manhua was right. This guy isn't weak. Natural talent for fighting, heavy training, agile footwork to attack and defend, and most importantly, he is very fast. Sangbo Sim went at him again. With fast punches, he even dominated Dagon for a while. Manhua at the door got worried. "I already got beaten by this combo without a chance to fight back." But Dagon found an opening to counterattack. The punch appeared on Sangbo Sim's face in the blink of an eye, too fast for him to dodge. Dagon's punch threw Sangbo Sim meters away. Luckily, Sangbo Sim raised his arms at the right time, but Dagon's punch still caused damage. Sangbo Sim was shocked, unable to believe the guy's strength. Ho Yang and the blonde were open-mouthed, without seeing the moment Dagon punched. Dagon shook his arm. This guy's reaction is very fast. He defended instantly, but Sangbo Sim became more confident after the punch. He thought he had figured out Dagon's fighting style, so Sangbo Sim started jumping, waiting for Dagon to punch first to counterattack. In the next second, Sangbo Sim advanced with everything. Dagon tried to counterattack, but Sangbo Sim retreated suddenly, dodging the punch. Sangbo Sim smiled, thinking he had won. However, Dagon landed a low kick on his knee. Sangbo Sim was confused. He didn't expect Dagon to use his legs. He tried a punch to push Dagon away, but Dagon dodged and kicked the same spot again. 2 consecutive kicks left Sangbo Sim unable to stand. Dagon got close. "Get up." Sangbo Sim was stunned. "Still want to act tough on me? You are underestimating me too much." Dagon kicked again and knocked Sangbo Sim down. I told you to get up, didn't you understand? Manho and the others were shocked by the brutality. Sangbo Sim could still stand, but his leg trembled endlessly. Daegun mocked. Why is your leg shaking? If you can't handle it, stay lying there. Sangbo Sim, pissed. Think you already won, you piece of shit? Daegun got tired and kicked again. Sangbo Sim thought he was going to hit the leg again and defended himself. However, Daegun stopped the kick suddenly and sent a right hook to his face. Sangbo Sim reacted in time and blocked barely, but Daegun put his hand in front of Sangbo Sim's face, blocking his vision, and kicked the injured leg again. Fighting for real is aiming at the weak leg. Manho was shocked. How is he using my moves? What a lack of class. After so many kicks on the same leg, Sangbo Sim couldn't take it anymore. The pain was such that he was sweating cold. No one knew that the fight between Daegun and Sangbo Sim was being recorded. On the other side, a guy watched the fight between the two and commented, "Watching others fight is the best thing. These inexperienced kids actually fight well." Daegun looked at Sangbo Sim, who was kneeling. "Get up already." Sangbo Sim could barely stand up. He continued on his knees. The whole crowd looked at him, shocked. Sangbo Sim was super humiliated. The leader of the PE class said, "Even if he gets up, he can't continue fighting. His leg is done for." You know, a boxer's most powerful weapon isn't the fists. The most terrifying thing is the footwork, which maintains the ideal distance from the opponent. If fists are bullets, footwork is the gun. But in this state, he can't use footwork. A boxer without agility is worse than a normal person. Sangbo Sim stood up and said, "It's not over yet, you worm." Daegun said, "Very good. Want to continue?" He kicked Sangbo Sim again. Sangbo Sim couldn't fight back, only blocked. The force of the kick threw Sangbo Sim meters away again. Sangbo Sim saw the situation was ugly. This guy is too strong, can't block, and I can't dodge. I'm only left with close combat. But before Sangbo Sim reacted, Daegun kicked him again. The kick threw Sangbo Sim into the corner of the room. Sangbo Sim saw the wall behind him and panicked. In the next second, Daegun advanced. A rain of punches fell on Sangbo Sim, who could only defend himself, until Daegun found an opening and hit his ribs. The impact knocked the wind out of Sangbo Sim, who was losing consciousness, defending only by instinct. Sangbo Sim turned into a punching bag, being beaten by Daegun. After 81 punches, Sangbo Sim couldn't take it and collapsed on the floor. He was terrified. "I can't beat this guy." Daegun approached Sangbo Sim. "I give you 10 seconds. Go back to your seat." But this time, Sangbo Sim lowered his head and didn't get up. The students watched the scene in disbelief. Why doesn't he get up? Did he give up? Sangbo Sim's friend was shocked. As a friend, he knew why Sangbo Sim trained boxing but didn't compete, and why he didn't challenge Manhwa again, even though he could beat him, and why he loved punching bags that didn't fight back. He pretended to be strong but was terrified of pain. The guy ran to stop Daegun. "Stop! Stop! We give up!" Daegun ignored him and said to Sangbo Sim, "I want to hear you admit defeat." Sangbo Sim said, "I lost. Stop hitting me." The students couldn't believe what they saw. Satisfied, Daegun left, but not without mocking. "What kind of boxer are you? It's ridiculous. You are not even fit to be a punching bag." The students felt like they were in a dream, incredulous that Sangbo Sim had admitted defeat. Daegun left class 3. Manho was thoughtful. How strong is Daegun? Sung Hwanggu from the PE class saw that Daegun was strong and that he didn't show his full power. We need to observe him more. Upon leaving, Daegun met the guy who caused trouble in the cafeteria at noon. The subject mocked. "What are you doing outside class 3? Are you scared to see Sangbo Sim hitting punching bags?" But Sangbo Sim's cry of pain made the guy startled. He ran to the door and saw Sangbo Sim kneeling on the floor, as if he had been beaten. The guy started sweating cold and looked at Daegun terrified. Daegun asked, "Have anything else to say?" Scared, the guy said, No, good job." Someone bumped into the guy. It was Manho and friends leaving class 3. Manho said, "Get out of the way, don't block." The guy moved out of the way for them to pass. After Manho and the others left, he went back to class 3 and asked Sangbo Sim, "Are you okay? Did you get hurt?" Sangbo Sim stared at him. The guy got scared by his look. "What are you looking at, you idiots? Get lost!" Sangbo Sim was furious and didn't accept the defeat, saying, "This won't stay like this." In a meeting room, they were playing a video of Daegun and Sangbo Sim's fight. One of the men said, "This student Daegun is impressive." Sammy Lee, who brought Daegun back to school, was beside him. The man continued, "Director Lee, I am satisfied with your plan. Thanks to your plan, we can accomplish this. But these rules are annoying. Remove them all." Sammy Lee got anxious. You know what that person did before. If we don't restrict him with rules, we don't know what he might do. The man waved his hand. "Since when did you become so boring? Don't worry about it. At most, he will act like a bully at school. Outside of school, he is nobody. He only helps us deal with the hidden rats. He is just an obedient kitten. No matter how capable he is, he doesn't escape our control. Let him show his true nature." The news that Daegun defeated Sangbo Sim spread through the classrooms. Arriving on the first day and dominating 3 classes shocked many people. Dojin Park, the leader of class 4, said it wasn't his problem and he could do whatever he wanted. Sung-hoon Lee, the leader of the advanced class of class 9, said he just wanted to study properly. Won-woong Kim, the leader of class 6, said he just wanted to play in peace. Ji-seok, the leader of class 5, was worried. He went to class 6 to look for Won-woong Kim to plan something. It's no big deal that Manho defeated the leader of class 3, and I don't even need to worry about him. But this new kid is different from the weaklings. We need to think of a strategy. Then a girl nearby said she didn't understand what guys kept thinking about all day. It was Susie Beck, who called herself the queen of class 6. "If I lose, I just ask my brother for help." Ji-seok complained immediately. "No way. It's our class thing. We won't bother the seniors." And so, Daegun's first day of school ended. After class, Manho and his friends kept following Dagon. Manhwa warned, "We always suspected each other, but now you stirred the fire. I think the leaders of other classes are already preparing to face you. Like it or not, you better prepare, because the people in this school aren't as dumb as they seem." Then Hojong said, "Let's leave that for later. Let's go to the PC cafe to play some LOL. I reached Silver yesterday." At that moment, Dagon saw Sammy Lee's car parked nearby and immediately realized she was waiting for him. He said he had to go and wouldn't play, and that he was gold and didn't play with Silver. Hojong complained that he still didn't like this guy. After Dagon got into Sammy Lee's car and left, a student who was watching everything from the street was shocked. "It's Sammy Lee's car. What is she doing here?" The girl with glasses asked Ji-Inna what was happening, but Ji-Inna kept looking at Sammy Lee's car leaving. "If I'm not mistaken, this Sammy Lee must be up to something." Meanwhile, in the car, Dagon was all worried, afraid Sammy Lee didn't like something. Sammy Lee commented that his first day of school was hectic. Dagon explained quickly that he just went to say hi and they came at him. That should count as self-defense, right? But after saying that, he saw that Sammy Lee remained serious. Seeing this, Dagon gave up. "All right, just say it. What punishment will I have to accept?" However, in the next second, Sammy Lee said there was no punishment at all. On the contrary, that he did very well today, that they had observed what he did today and decided to reduce his restrictions, and that they hoped he would continue like this in the future. Dagon finally smiled. "If that's so, I don't need to hold back anymore." But in the next second, Dagon realized something was wrong. He asked how Sammy Lee knew what happened to him, if she was spying on him. Sammy Lee just adjusted her glasses and said it was a secret. Dagon started thinking that his deskmate, Min-Soo Kim, could be an undercover agent, but then Dagon thought it didn't matter, because the news had already spread throughout the school. Almost everyone knew what had happened today. Soon, Sammy Lee took Dagon to an apartment building. Then she took Dagon to a door and said that would be his home from now on. When she opened the door, Dagon was shocked by the luxurious decoration. "I never thought I would live in such a nice place. You are being very generous with me, but it seems this apartment isn't new." Sammy Lee replied that of course it wasn't new, that she lived there before. Dagon got embarrassed and read, "Are you saying we are going to live together?" Sammy Lee's face changed instantly. "What dream is that, you idiot? Of course we aren't going to live together." Dagon felt a bit awkward seeing he had imagined too much. Then Sammy Lee said the Foundation was very satisfied with his performance, but despite having reduced his restrictions, he had to understand that using violence outside of school was prohibited. If he broke the law, not even the Foundation could protect him. Besides, most teachers at the school didn't know about this plan, so if he attracted too much attention, it would be difficult for them too. Dagon got irritated. "Wasn't it the same as asking me to walk on eggshells?" Sammy Lee left a bank card for him to spend as he wished and left the apartment. Dagon thought whatever. As long as he handled the school bullies, it was fine. After leaving the room, Sammy Lee didn't leave the building. Instead, she went to another room downstairs. Inside, there were several large screens that seemed to be monitoring Dagon. Today was Dagon's second day at school. First thing in the morning, the teacher called him to give a lecture about yesterday's fight. Except the teacher spent most of the time mocking Dagon for having no parents, saying that was why he had no manners. This made Dagon very angry, but he couldn't assault a teacher in public. At this time, a girl nearby saw Dagon getting scolded. It was Ji-Inna, who had seen Sammy Lee's car yesterday. Ji-Inna also knew that Dagon had gotten into several fights on his first day after transferring. Seeing this, she started wondering if Sammy Lee's plan had to do with the new student. Meanwhile, in Class 6, Jiseok was taking pictures of Susie Beck, the class queen. Then Sangbo Sim's two henchmen arrived suddenly. "Do you guys know about Sangbo Sim? He didn't come to school today and we can't reach him." Jiseok said he knew. "Let him skip. Don't worry about that idiot." Then the guy asked, "And the newbie? If we leave him alone, won't he?" Then Won Kim, the boss of Class 6, turned and asked, "Won't he what?" Scared, the guy made a denial gesture. Nothing. I'm not saying you would lose." Seeing this, Won Kim called the guy closer. The guy approached apologizing. In the next second, Won Kim punched his nose. The guy was a bit groggy from the blow, but saw Won Kim calling again. Seeing this, the guy didn't dare resist and went again, and as expected, took another punch to the nose. Then Won Kim said, "Learn how to speak next time. I'll keep an eye on the newbie. You can get lost." The guy ran out of the room quickly. Jiseok came close and said, "That's cool, but what they said is true." Won Kim asked, "Do you know why they put auto mode in games?" Jiseok said he knew, that he also liked games with auto battle. Won Kim replied, "Why is auto so popular? It's because we don't need to do anything, right?" Meanwhile, Dagon was in detective mode. Since he didn't know how Sammy Lee knew things, he thought Min-Soo Kim was the spy. Out of nowhere, Dagon asked, "Min-Soo Kim, you didn't put a camera in your glasses, did you?" Min-Soo Kim was bugged by Dagon's question. "Camera? What are you talking about?" Then Dagon realized he was too direct and asked, "Why did you start using glasses out of nowhere?" Min-Soo Kim explained that he always wore glasses. "It's just that Hojong mocked anyone who wore glasses. Feared of the mockery, I used contact lenses. But now that you are here, I think that won't happen anymore. So I went back to wearing glasses." Hearing this, Dagon got pissed, stood up to give Hojong a correction. Seeing this, Hojong was shocked, didn't even remember doing that. Scared, Hojong said to the blonde, "I'm kinda bored. Let's play on the floor." Then Hojong was on the floor, head down and hands behind his back. The blonde next to him wasn't understanding anything. At this, Min-Soo Kim adjusted his glasses out of nowhere. Dagon noticed immediately. "Min-Soo Kim, that glasses adjustment is suspicious." Min-Soo Kim replied, "It's just that I feel weird wearing glasses again." Hearing this, Dagon just said awkwardly, "Sorry, I'm a bit paranoid these days." While Dagon thought how Sammy Lee spied on him, a guy appeared at the room window. Ji-Inna appeared at the same time. The two stared at Dagon, but saw nothing different. Ji-Inna was so focused on Dagon that she didn't even see the guy and bumped into him. to him. The guy turned instantly and cursed her. Blind? Stop walking around, get lost. Ji-ina apologized quickly and left, cursing softly. What a jerk. The guy continued looking at Dagon in the room. Suddenly, he saw that he was looking back. The guy got scared and left quickly. Meanwhile, Ji-ina, who had returned to class 9, was being interrogated by her friend. Did you go to class 1 just now? I thought you only cared about studying, Ji-ina. In the end, you also like seeing handsome guys. Ji-ina was desperate, wanting to explain. But the friend said, I got it. After all, the newbie is really handsome. There are already a lot of girls writing letters to him. Ji-ina didn't know how to explain. But out of nowhere, the friend had already gathered all of Dagon's information, even that he was going to pass by a street of stalls after class. Ji-ina was even more at a loss for how to explain. Aside from that, there was no reason to keep an eye on Dagon. After class, Ji-ina started following Dagon. She wanted to know what he and Sammy Lee were plotting. Meanwhile, the guy who was observing Dagon with Ji-ina was meeting with Won-woong Kim, the leader of Class 6. In the end, they were all from Class 6. Won-woong Kim gathered them to deal with Dagon. One of the guys said, Isn't it kind of scummy for us to ambush the newbie? He is the leader of Classes 1 to 3, and we aren't even leaders. Won-woong Kim replied, So what? Besides, weren't you guys good at fighting before? If you hadn't met me in Jiseok, Class 6 would be yours. Or are you worried about the little rules between classes? In the end, everything is mine and Jiseok's. There is nothing wrong with you giving a push. Just take down the newbie. Don't worry about the rest. After you do it, call me. Said that, Won-woong Kim left. The group, led by Jinmo, waited for Dagon to appear. Soon they saw Dagon passing. Jinmo dropped the milk tea and went after him. Dagon sensed the bad intentions immediately, turned and entered a deserted alley. The group followed Dagon closely. Meanwhile, Ji-ina, who was following Dagon, was shocked. She didn't understand why the guys were following him. Ji-ina went after them, running to see what was going on. But Jinmo saw Ji-ina behind them. Ji-ina pretended she was on the phone quickly. The guy ordered the others to follow Dagon while he went after her. He told Ji-ina, Stop pretending. I know you aren't on a call. You are following us, right? Then the guy remembered she had bumped into him before. I got it. The guy got it. You are into me, right? You arrived already teasing. Like me? Just say it. Why keep following me? How cute. He put his arm around her and said, I'm kind of busy. I can let you see us resolving a matter. Then I'm thinking of getting a room. Want to come? Ji-ina got irritated, pushed the guy and cursed. Are you crazy? Jinmo got pissed instantly, threatened to slap Ji-ina. Weren't you the one who liked me and was following me? Ji-ina replied, What are you talking about? How would I like a fat gorilla like you? But in the next second, the guy's friends heard his screams, not understanding anything. They just turned to see what was going on. The guy was covering his eyes, screaming in pain. You crazy girl, what do you want? Ji-ina had the pepper spray in her hand, saying, Who told you to touch me? At this time, the guy's friends had already returned. The guy ordered them to get the girl. Several guys surrounded the girl. Ji-ina backed away, terrified. When the guys were about to attack, Dagon appeared out of nowhere, shouting at them. What are you guys up to, you dummies? They were going to tell Dagon to mind his business. However, in the next second, they realized something was strange. Dagon said, You guys are following me, right? If you have something to tell me, let's exchange ideas somewhere else. Jinmo, seeing they had been discovered, agreed. Then Jinmo and the crowd took Dagon to a hidden alley. Only there were already people there. Some guys from the neighboring school, Bongyun. They recognized one, Jin Woo-cha, from Bongyun. The other was Jungman Lee, also from Bongyun. The two were juniors in the art of fighting. Jin Woo-cha asked, Are you guys from Golden Dragon? Never seen you there. Jungman Lee completed. Me neither. Must be some chickens. Do you know Won-woong Kim? He sent us to resolve a matter. Hearing the name, the two said, Ah, it's from that coward Won-woong Kim. If it's him, we leave the place to you. Seeing this, Jinmo was embarrassed, but didn't dare say anything. Meanwhile, at the Lan house, Won-woong Kim and Jiseok played video games. When Jiseok learned that Won-woong Kim had sent Jinmo and others to get Daegun, he thought it was kind of a setup. Won-woong Kim guaranteed, Relax, it will be good. It would be uglier if the newbie got beaten by a nobody. The guys are dumb, but they are strong. Back to Daegun, Jinmo and the crowd surrounded him. Jinmo hurried to say, I think I have nothing to do with this, so I'm leaving. Jinmo was the first to complain. I told you I was going to show you my strength. Daegun looked at Ji-ina thoughtfully. That girl has been following me since class ended. Did Sammy Lee send her to watch me? Then he said, Let her go. She has nothing to do with this. However, to his surprise, after hearing this, Ji-ina didn't want to leave. Jinmo said, Who do you think you are? Can't you see the situation? You are going to get beaten up, you know? Then he got close to Daegun with a cigarette, wanting to blow smoke in his face. Daegun ordered immediately, You better not blow smoke on me, otherwise you won't see the sun tomorrow. But Jinmo ignored him and prepared to blow the smoke on Daegun. In the next second, Daegun acted fast, grabbing Jinmo's face. Then he knocked Jinmo down with his leg. While Jinmo was still groggy, Daegun landed a punch on him. It was so fast that Jinmo didn't even see where it came from. In the next instant, Daegun's fist hit his face. Just one punch knocked Jinmo out. The other three who were watching were open-mouthed. Never imagining that Daegun was so strong, the three understood that if they didn't take Daegun down, Won-woong Kim would hold them accountable. Then the three prepared to attack together, but none of them had the courage to make the first move against Daegun. Seeing the scene, Daegun said, If you aren't coming, then I'll go first. With that, Daegun charged. He punched one of the guys. The guy next to him joined the fight somewhat unintentionally, but Dagon just dodged to the side and already aimed at the subject behind him. Before the guy could react, Dagon sent him flying with a punch. With just one blow, the guy passed out. The boy who hadn't been beaten yet froze, thankful that the other boy still had a bit of fight left, which gave him a little confidence. But in the next second, his pupils contracted. He was kicked in the chest by Dagon and thrown against the wall behind him. Instantly, the guy lost all strength and fell to the floor, unable to do anything. The only one who hadn't been hurt was stunned, surprised at how strong Dagon was. But in the next second, the guy still charged, somewhat unintentionally, but Dagon blocked him easily. Then a punch landed hard on the guy's ribs. Instantly, the guy started coughing badly, but Dagon didn't even give him time to breathe, taking him down in one move. Then he aimed a knee strike at the subject's face, but just as he was about to hit, he stopped. Seeing this, Dagon sighed in relief. That was close. I almost lost control and would have finished you off. Meanwhile, a certain Won-Woong Kim, playing in a cyber cafe, received a call from Young Man Lee. Won-Woong Kim answered the phone without thinking much, but in the next second, he was shocked. Apparently, Young Man Lee told him that Jinmo and the others were defeated. At that moment, back with Dagon, Jinmo finally regained consciousness. Opening his eyes, he saw Dagon staring at him intensely. He also saw that his good brothers were all beaten up. Dagon kicked him and said, "Get up fast, go stay with them." Then Dagon started lecturing the group. This scene was clearly witnessed by Jungman Lee and others hiding nearby, who couldn't believe that Golden Dragon School had such a monster. On the other end of the line, Won-Woong Kim also couldn't believe Dagon was that strong. At that moment, Dagon patted Jinmo on the shoulder and asked, "Who sent you? Was it that Won-Woong Kim you mentioned?" Jinmo initially wanted to deny it, but in the next second, Dagon suddenly grabbed his collarbone. "If you don't admit it, do you think I'm stupid?" Jinmo immediately cowered. "It's him, it's him, it's him, it's him. Please don't tell him I said it." Although Won-Woong Kim is scary, this guy is also terrifying. At this point, Dagon turned his gaze to Ji-ina and asked, "Why is this girl following you guys?" Jinmo immediately said, "She is in love with me." This irritated Ji-ina, who cursed him. "Are you crazy? I already told you I don't like you and actually hate you a lot. Do you never look in the mirror? You look like a gorilla." It is truly disgusting. Worse than socks not washed for a week. Jinmo immediately felt what it meant to be emotionally destroyed, so he apologized to Ji-ina. "I am very sorry, but you were following us at that moment." Hearing this, Dagon became interested. Ji-ina stuttered nervously. "You watch too many movies, why would I follow you? Anyway, I don't want to be associated with violent and savage behavior." And with that, Ji-ina left. Dagon watched Ji-ina leave without trying to stop her. After leaving, Ji-ina met Youngman Lee and his friend, who hadn't left yet. Youngman Lee told his friend, "Isn't that girl pretty? She's nothing like the girls from our school." By this time, Dagon had written down Jinmo's phone number. He then said, "Tomorrow bring Won-Woong Kim to me." Time passed quickly to the next day, but after waiting a long time, Dagon didn't see Jinmo bringing Won-Woong Kim. Checking his phone, he found out that Jinmo couldn't find Won-Woong Kim. Seeing this, Dagon decided to go see what was happening personally. Soon, Dagon arrived at Class 6's room. Upon entering, he saw Jinmo playing with his phone. Dagon approached and asked where Won-Woong Kim was. But since Dagon was wearing glasses, Jinmo didn't recognize him. Dagon then squeezed Jinmo's hand hard, and a familiar feeling immediately invaded him. This commotion also attracted the attention of other people in the room. At that moment, Suzy Bayak entered. She immediately questioned Dagon. "Who are you? Why are you causing trouble in someone else's class? And you, Jinmo, don't embarrass yourself." But Jinmo said, "I can't." In the next second, Suzy Beck realized it was Dagon. She grabbed him and said, "Do you know where you are?" Dagon replied, "Who are you? Mind your own business." In the next second, he got slapped in the face by Suzy Beck and his glasses flew off. Suzy Beck said, "Show some respect. Do you know who I am?" Dagon replied darkly, "Who you are doesn't matter to me." "But you slapped me?" "Yes." Suzy Beck then said, "Whatever. You just transferred, so you probably don't know. Do you know Suyak Beck, the senior leader of Golden Dragon?" But Dagon just looked at Suzy Beck and said, "I don't know him, so what?" But in the next second, Suzy Beck saw Dagon without his glasses and involuntarily called him brother, quickly explaining that Suyak Beck was her brother. She didn't expect him to be so handsome without glasses and called him that by accident. Dagon said, "So what?" But his attention was drawn to someone who appeared suddenly. This person entered and immediately kicked Jinmo, then slapped him several times, and Jinmo didn't dare fight back. Dagon was shocked by this scene. Jinmo held his face and said, "Won-Woong Kim, I'm sorry." Dagon then realized that this was Won-Woong Kim and asked, "You are Won-Woong Kim?" Won-Woong Kim immediately said, "That's right. Shall we repeat my name how many times? I heard you were looking for me." Seeing this, Dagon didn't waste time and said, "I am looking for you today." But Won-Woong Kim said, "It doesn't seem like we have any connection. Why are you looking for me?" Dagon then rubbed his forehead and said, "Looking for you, of course, is to..." In the next second, Dagon suddenly swung his fist towards Won-Woong Kim. The guy was shocked, not expecting Dagon to attack suddenly. Fortunately, Jiseok intervened to block him. Jiseok then said, "Everything was fine just now. Why did you attack suddenly?" Dagon asked, "Who are you?" Jiseok was shocked, then said, "I am Jiseok from Class 5. Although I don't have the right to interfere in other classes' affairs, I can't stand by when you are causing trouble like this." At this point, Jiseok couldn't help but wonder if he was getting weaker. He used full force, but Dagon didn't even budge. Meanwhile, Dagon let out, "You actually have strength. Were you trying to take me down?" Hearing this, Jiseok let go of Dagon awkwardly and said, "That doesn't matter. Although fights happen all the time, we have the right to know why, right?" At that moment, Won-Woong Kim hugged Jinmo and said, "Is it because of what happened yesterday?" okay? Then he grabbed Jinmo's hair and said, "You dumb idiot, you better explain yourself properly." But when Jinmo was about to speak, Won Kim slapped him across the face. Then he kicked Jinmo, saying, "The more I think, the more pissed I get. You dumb idiot, messed up using my name." Jinmo didn't even dare fight back, just apologizing. But Won Kim didn't stop. Pissed. "Did water get into your brain or something? You made me be misunderstood." Then Won Kim stopped hitting Jinmo. Turning to Dagon, he said, "I admit I didn't control my guys well, but don't you think it's too much to question me without proof?" Dagon was annoyed. Looking at Jinmo, he said, "I guess there is no proof, right?" Seeing this, Won Kim advanced, cursing, "Rascal, stop pretending." But Jisok held him quickly. "Calm down. He must know he accused wrongly." Then he told Dagon, "I think you got confused. We don't care about power rankings." At that time, the bell rang for class. Dagon was annoyed, feeling he was tricked. In this situation, Dagon knew he couldn't attack straight away and left class 6. Behind him, Won Kim smiled and said, "Jisok, good job on the acting." Jiseok also spoke scared. "I was really nervous, but the guy is damn strong." It's true. It's better not to get involved personally. Won Kim picked up his phone and said, "In that case, there is only one option left." Meanwhile, in the classroom, Dagon thought about what had happened. He knew it was Won Kim's plan, but the way they acted was distancing themselves from the trouble. If he did something, they would see him as the villain. Now their attitude was ambiguous, and he didn't find a reason to punch their faces. At that moment, the teacher spoke about war, that it is for interest, but needs justification. Dagon got it immediately. It seems there would soon be a way to deal with them. Meanwhile, Won Kim was scolding Jinmo and the guys, who were pissed but quiet. Jinmo thought, he doesn't even face the transfer student one-on-one and comes to lecture us. Won Kim was already dialing a number. It was Youngman Lee from Bongneon High School. Won Kim told him about the transfer student. Youngman Lee asked, "So, what happened with the guy?" Won Kim said, "Looks like you, Jinwoo Cha and some guys need to get in the game. I wanted to resolve it at school, but no one here can handle him. After you give him a beating, I'll finish it." Youngman Lee said, "No problem. The guy is actually good, but with us it won't be a problem." At that time, Jinwoo Cha came close and said, "Can we find that girl from yesterday?" Won Kim didn't understand. Who is Jinmo talking about? Jinmo remembered Ji Inna. Why did they want to find her? She had nothing to do with this. Then Won Kim asked Jinwoo Cha, "Why did you want to find the girl?" Jinwoo Cha said, "The girl is my type, and since we are going to deal with the transfer student, why not mess with her too?" Won Kim agreed immediately and ordered Jinmo to go get the girl. Jinmo was tense, thinking the girl had nothing to do with it. Then he remembered the rule that you can't touch a student from another class without beating the leader. He told Won Kim, "The girl is from class 9. If we mess with her, the leader Sung-hoon Lee won't let it slide." Won Kim replied, "Girls don't pay protection, so it doesn't matter. And what can the nerd from class 9 do? After this, we dominate class 9 too. Just bring both of them." Jinmo got annoyed instantly. "How am I going to bring two?" The scene changes. Jinmo found Daegun and knelt to apologize. Manho no, and the guys were open-mouthed. They had heard the guy had defeated 4 of Jinmo's guys yesterday. The guy was awesome, but unfortunately, it wasn't possible to get close. Daegun kicked Jinmo. "So you know you did wrong." Daegun was going to teach him a lesson, but the more he looked, the more pity he felt. Then he gave up on the idea. He started lecturing him and told him to apologize to the girl from yesterday. Jinmo said, "I'll apologize right now, and to show I'm sorry, I'll buy you a chicken BBQ." Daegun was surprised. "You're buying me a chicken BBQ? Just us two?" Jinmo asked. "Can it be?" The pitiful face touched Daegun, who hugged Jinmo. "No problem. Let's eat after class." Jinmo found Ji Inna and apologized the same way, inviting her for a chicken BBQ to show regret. Ji Inna refused immediately. Jinmo explained he had no ulterior motives, just wanted to apologize, and that the transfer student Daegun would be there too. Yaro, Ji Inna's friend, heard Daegun's name and caught on immediately. "Then let's go together." Hearing this, Ji Inna shook her head. "I'm not going. How embarrassing. If you want to eat, let's go just us." But Yaro looked at Ji Inna pleading, "Please, Jin, there's no better chance to meet the transfer student." Jinmo also said, "Then bring your friend along. 4 people is also good." Seeing this, Ji Inna shrugged and said, "Actually, I don't want to go, but let's go together." Jinmo said he would meet them after school, but after Jinmo left, he regretted it. "I am such an idiot. What am I doing? Did I really think we were going to eat BBQ today, dragging an innocent girl into this?" And I stood there smiling stupidly. At that moment, Jinmo saw Min-soo Kim. He recognized him immediately as Daegun's deskmate, so he thought, they must have a good relationship, right? Time passed quickly until after school. Youngman Lee and others from Bongyun School were already prepared. At this moment, Daegun was also with Jinmo, Ji Inna, and the others. Both Daegun and Ji Inna felt very strange about this unusual combination. Only Yaro was focused on admiring Daegun. After walking a bit, Daegun noticed there were no open shops. He looked at Jinmo and asked, "Is there really a BBQ shop here?" Jinmo immediately got nervous and said, "Yes, yes." Nearby, Yaro also said, "Real gourmet places are usually in isolated alleys. I just didn't know there was a place to eat here. Never heard of it before." Daegun then looked at Jinmo and asked, "What is the name of that shop?" This scared Jinmo, who immediately looked around nervously. Seeing this, Daegun couldn't help but say, "Why are you panicking? It's like you have ulterior motives." But in the next second, Daegun noticed a group of people in the distance. These people were Jungman Lee and his group from Bongyun. Daegun understood immediately that Jinmo's apology was just a pretext to lure him here. Angry, Daegun was about to teach Jinmo a lesson. Jinmo quickly knelt before Daegun, saying he was forced to do this. "After this, you can kill me if you want, but I really had no choice." Nearby, Ji Inna and Yaro also realized everyone had been tricked by Jinmo. Ji Inna cursed angrily, "You scum! At least you shouldn't have involved innocent Yaro." By this time, Youngman Lee and the others had approached. Looking at Jinmo, he said, "Why are you kneeling for him? We came to make him kneel." Seeing this, Daegun had to deal with Youngman Lee and his group first, telling Jinmo to wait there and that he would settle accounts with him later. At that moment, the other students from Bongyun School still couldn't believe Daegun alone had taken down 4 people. And that guy kneeling looked so weak. How does he dare attend Golden Dragon School? Jinwoo Cha warned, "Don't underestimate him. Youngman Lee and I saw it personally. That guy is really strong." At this point, a big guy stepped forward and said, "If this guy is really that strong, then before we gang up on him, let me try first. Let me see what kind of skills a potential leader in Golden Dragon School has." The Baldy walked up to Daegun and said, "Let me fight you first." But Daegun was a bit confused. "I'm not sure if the Baldy was talking to me." It turns out the Baldy has crossed eyes, making it difficult for Daegun to tell who he was looking at. The Baldy then said, "Don't look around. I am looking at you right now." Seeing this, Daegun wasted no more time and said, "Hurry up and make your movement." The Baldy immediately assumed a stance and said, "Through my own unique training method, I developed extraordinary vision. These unfocused eyes of mine will soon make you suffer in agony because no one who has seen these eyes survived my hands." And with that, he ran towards Daegun. Nearby, Youngman Lee couldn't help but be speechless. When am I dead? But this guy's eyes are really something. Unfocused eyes make it difficult to judge his attack direction, which gave me a bit of trouble back then. In the end, I subdued him using wrestling techniques. I wonder how the transfer student will handle this, but it probably won't be easy. But in the next second, they saw the Baldy being firmly strangled by Daegun. Jungman Lee was shocked. "What is happening? I didn't even see how he did it." Now he is completely trapped in a neck hold. Probably can't break free. I don't know if this guy is still conscious. Youngman Lee cursed. "With this guy's crossed eyes, you can't tell if he is still conscious." Youngman Lee shouted immediately, "Baldy, give up, it's over!" But in the next second, he saw the Baldy's arm fall limp. The others were shocked by this scene. Daegun said, "You don't think I'll let you go just because you surrendered, right? Didn't you all come with the intention of taking me down? And you even involved innocent people. Since you did this, you should be prepared to be finished by me." The Bongyun guys were unhappy hearing this. "This bastard is really acting tough." They immediately shouted, "Don't you understand the situation? There are 9 of us here. Do you think you can beat all of us?" Daegun handed his backpack to Yarrow, asking her to hold it for him, saying he could solve them quickly and they should stay away. Then he walked alone towards the Bongyun group and said, "Don't come at me one by one if you have guts. Come all at once." Seeing this, the Bongyun guys didn't waste time, quickly spreading out to surround Daegun. Daegun had already made his judgment. He first ran towards the person closest to the wall. With a flying tackle, he hit the man hard against the wall, then punched the man in the face. The others ran over. Daegun grabbed a handful of dirt, throwing it in the face of the nearest person to block his attack. At that moment, a blonde guy had already kicked towards Daegun. Daegun quickly stood up, grabbing the blonde guy's leg. Then, with a leg sweep, he knocked the blonde guy to the ground. Then he dodged another person's attack with a sidestep. Finding an opportunity, he landed an uppercut on the man's chin. The blonde guy on the ground tried to get up, but Daegun was faster, landing another sweep kick to his face. Nearby, Jinmo was impressed. "Although I knew the guy was strong from the start, I didn't expect so much power. Maybe this guy can defeat Wonwon Kim and Jisoo and become the first-year leader." No, he definitely can. Nearby, Jinwoo Cha saw the ugly fight and told the others to act soon. The two didn't hesitate and went after Daegun. Daegun went at them instantly. Dodging the first wave of attacks, he got close and landed a left hook on the ribs. While the guy felt the pain, he landed a right hook on the face, paralyzing him. In the blink of an eye, only one was left. Daegun attacked first, kicking the guy in the abdomen and throwing him. Almost made the guy throw up yesterday's dinner. Daegun followed with a spinning kick to the head, throwing him meters away and knocking him out. In less than 2.5 minutes, Daegun dealt with 7 guys. Even Daegun felt a bit tired. Looking at Youngman Lee and Jinwoo Cha, he said, "Only you two are left now. Come here." Jinwoo Cha was shocked and scared. "You are incredibly strong. It's unbelievable." Nearby, Youngman Lee reminded Jinwoo Cha he must have dealt with several before. When 2 guys went at him together, Daegun positioned himself in a straight line with both. Thus, whoever was behind was blocked by the one in front, making the attack impossible and creating a one-on-one. And in the beginning, he attacked the guy against the wall for the same reason. It is obvious he knows how to create one-on-one opportunities. Instantly, the sound of heavy footsteps approached. In the distance, more people from Bongyun arrived. Daegun was stunned. How can there be so many people? The newcomers were surprised to see everyone on the ground. The guy was really strong, but luckily they brought baseball bats. At that moment, Youngman Lee said to Daegun, "You are strong, but we never said we only had 10 guys. No matter how strong you are, what can one guy do against so many of us?" Daegun felt a bit of pressure, but only a bit. At that moment, a voice emerged. "Who said he is alone?" Daegun turned around and was stunned. He didn't expect to see Manho No and others, and Daegun's deskmate, Minsu Kim. Manho No said, "I didn't expect the leader of our class to be fighting alone. We came to help you." Daegun asked how they knew he was there. At that moment, Minsu Kim said it was Jinmo who told them. This scared Jinmo, who explained, "I was talking to myself, didn't think they would hear." Nearby, Youngman Lee got irritated. "You punk, are you mocking us? We came because of you. This irritates me so much anyway. Wonwon Kim won't leave you alone. You and this Daegun just wait." Seeing this, Jinmo put the act aside, looking at Ji-ina and saying, "I have hated that guy for a long time and I am no weakling. I also don't want to obey that gangster Wonwon Kim anymore. Who should prepare are you? Trash from Bongyun." Jungman Lee and Jinwoo Cha were so furious, they almost coughed up blood. Nearby, Manho No said to Jinmo, "So you are on our side, that's good. We gained another fighter. Because the other side has about 7 or 8 guys, and those two must be the leaders. Then Manho No said, Dagon can deal with those two. We take care of the rabble. At that moment, young Man Lee also recognized Manho No as the former class leader, but didn't expect him to be so dirty, calling Jinmo to help. Dagon then said, I am very grateful for the help. I know I shouldn't interrupt when you are trying to act cool, but each one will have to deal with at least 2 guys. And everyone is armed. Are you sure you can manage? I am Manho No. What is the problem with weapons? Actually, it is perfect for me. Then Manho No dropped his bag and said, let's start. Then they saw Minsu Kim searching his pocket for something. Ho Jong opened his small bag, and Manho No was also searching his bag. He took out an 80-centimeter iron bar. While Minsu Kim put on a military brass knuckle, Ho Jong also took out a wrench. Then Manho No, along with the other two, struck a pose and said, we may have lost to you at school, but we are different outside of it. Dagon was speechless. All these guys had weapons in their bags. What were they doing at school? Manho No pointed at the Bong Yun guy with a baseball bat and said, boy, do you know how to use this? Let me teach you a lesson. The baldy got angry. You punk, watch out or I'll kill you. But Manho No didn't care. Come try and see if you have the guts. The baldy couldn't hold back anymore, advancing, raising the bat and trying to hit Manho No. Manho No had already figured out the move. This guy is right-handed. He will hit diagonally from top right. In the next second, Manho No threw chalk powder on him. Kids have no honor these days. Then Manho No hit the guy with the iron bar in the belly, gave a kick in the balls, knocking him to his knees, and kicked the head, knocking out the baldy. The Bong Yun guys were stunned. What a dirty guy. Manho No had already taken the guy's bat. Looking at the others, he said, you rabble don't think about interrupting the fight between leaders. But the Bong Yun guys were scared of Manho No's dirty tactics, hesitant to act. Seeing this, Manho No said, if you don't come, I'll go to you. The Bong Yun guys had to advance reluctantly. But the guy's attack was easily dodged by Manho No, who countered with a bat strike hard on his butt. A chubby guy nearby tried to attack Manho No from behind, but was blocked by Ho Jong, who punched him away. The chubby guy was still complaining about the sudden intervention when Ho Jong had already raised his wrench and struck. The other guys panicked. All these guys are crazy! Let's grab weapons from the ground. A guy nearby grabbed a beer bottle, but while he was still wondering if a beer bottle would be too dangerous, Minsu Kim had already delivered a blow with his brass knuckle fist, hitting the man hard. A guy nearby immediately prepared to attack Minsu Kim by surprise. At that moment, Jinmo also acted, kicking the guy away. Jinwoo Cha was speechless. These guys were fighting in a mess. Dagon said, your numerical advantage is gone. Now show me your skills. Jinwoo Cha and the other decided not to watch anymore. But Jungman Lee said, I learned wrestling. Individual combat suits me better. Let me fight him alone first, test his strength. If things get ugly, you help me. He then assumed a wrestling stance. In the next second, he quickly approached Dagon's lower body, wanting to execute a leg takedown. But then he was stunned. Dagon simply pressed his head, denying his takedown. Jinwoo Cha ran with a kick, quickly aiming at Dagon, who had to let go of Young Man Lee to dodge. But as soon as he dodged, he found himself grabbed by the waist by Jung Man Lee. Jung Man Lee revealed a victorious smile. You must know what it means to be grabbed by a wrestler. Hearing this, Dagon quickly twisted his body, trying to break free. But in the next second, Jung Man Lee exerted force and lifted Dagon. If he were thrown to the ground, his head would hit hard, and he would be out for at least 2.5 minutes. Dagon quickly extended his arm. At the last moment, he grabbed the nearby wall. Young Man Lee couldn't take Dagon down. With his center of gravity unstable, he fell to the ground. But even so, Young Man Lee still held Dagon tightly. Knowing he had caught Dagon's weak point, he absolutely couldn't let go. Dagon quickly rolled, managing to break free and pinning Jung Man Lee under him. Then he raised his fist, ready to deliver a fatal blow. At the critical moment, Jinwoo Cha ran again. Dagon had no choice but to create distance to dodge the attack. Dagon was a bit worried now. These two guys had such good teamwork that it was difficult to find an opening. At that moment, the two switched to Jinwoo Cha attacking. Jinwoo Cha quickly approached Dagon, starting with a flying kick, which Dagon dodged by ducking. Then Jinwoo Cha delivered a spinning kick, again aiming at Dagon. At that moment, Dagon chose to defend instead of attacking blindly. Finally, Dagon noticed that Jinwoo Cha's main attacks were all leg-based. In the next second, he quickly approached Jinwoo Cha, trying to close the distance. Jinwoo Cha sensed Dagon's intention and quickly retreated. After observing the situation briefly, Dagon saw that Jungman Lee would intervene when he showed a weak point, or gained the advantage. Now he understood their attack pattern a bit, so Dagon quickly approached Jinwoo Cha, planning to deal with him first. When Jinwoo Cha's attack came, he quickly dodged to the side, exposing a weakness. Jinwoo Cha swung his fist, but Dagon avoided with quick movements. In the next second, Jinwoo Cha saw a punch emerge from under his arm, flying towards him. 2.5 seconds later, Jinwoo Cha realized he had been hit. By then, Jungman Lee was already standing in front of him. Jinwoo Cha then realized he had lost consciousness momentarily. Fortunately, Jungman Lee was there, or he would have been done for. Now he could only use this opening to adjust his state and find a way to explore Dagon's weakness. At that moment, Jungman Lee suddenly crouched, trying to grab Dagon by the waist again. But in the next second, Dagon grabbed him by the neck. Your feint is too obvious. Anyone can see you are trying a takedown. Nearby, Jinwoo Cha saw the situation deteriorating and attacked again. This time, time, Daegun pushed Jungman Lee out in advance. Just as Jinwoo Cha's kick reached Daegun's face, in the next second, Daegun suddenly ducked, followed by a slide tackle, taking down Jinwoo Cha's other leg. Jinwoo Cha immediately lost his balance and fell. Daegun quickly raised his foot and kicked Jinwoo Cha hard in the face. Jinwoo Cha threw his hands to block, but then Daegun raised his fist and through the gap hit his head directly. With one punch, Jinwoo Cha fainted. Seeing this, Daegun threw his hair to the side, looking at Jungman Lee and saying, "Now only you are left. Are you going to leave alone or should I help you leave?" Daegun slowly approached Jungman Lee and said, "This mess needs to end." At that moment, Jungman Lee is completely shocked, unable to find a way to defeat Daegun. Even so, he advances towards Daegun. In the next second, Daegun's fist is right in front of his eyes. Jungman Lee cannot react in time and is knocked down by Daegun's punch. After one punch, Jungman Lee can barely stand. Immediately, Daegun advances, grabbing Jungman Lee by the waist. With a takedown, he throws him to the ground and sits on top of him. Jungman Lee tries to break free, but cannot gather strength. Daegun follows, aiming his fist at Jungman Lee, and without hesitation hits him. After a beating, Jungman Lee finally yields. "Please, stop hitting me. I won't dare interfere in Golden Dragon High's affairs again." Hearing this, Daegun gets even more irritated. He delivers another hard punch to Jungman Lee's face, then grabs him tightly. "Do you think I'll stop just because you asked? Today you will pay the price for helping Won-Woong Kim. Why would you suffer like this for that guy? Do you think he will rule Golden Dragon in the end? Won-Woong Kim or me, who is holding you now?" Meanwhile, Manhwa No and the others finish dealing with the rest of the people. Daegun releases Jungman Lee and says, "You better think carefully about the future. Take your friends and disappear quietly." At that moment, Jungman Lee is full of extreme regret. He never imagined the gap between him and Daegun would be so big. After dealing with everything, Daegun says he is leaving. Manhwa No then asks, "Did you bring weapons by chance today? Want to teach that despicable Won-Woong Kim a lesson?" But Daegun replies, "Never mind. I'm kind of tired today, and thank you all." Hearing this, Manhwa No, Hojong, and Minsu Kim blush, saying it was nothing after all. They are all birds of a feather. Then Daegun looks at Jinmo, who straightens up instantly. Jinmo is terrified. What will happen? Daegun says he won't do anything today, saves it for another time. Daegun asks if Ji-ina and Yaro got hurt. Seeing that things calm down, Yaro weakens and almost falls. Daegun holds her quickly and asks, "Is everything okay?" Being held, Yaro turns red as a pepper. She composes herself quickly and says, "I'm fine." Hearing this, Daegun says, "Sorry for the mess today. I involved you in this." Yaro replies that it's not true, but Ji-ina interrupts and says that actually it is his fault. Yes, Daegun's existence is a mistake. Besides fighting everywhere, you still intimidate innocents. You aren't better than these fallen people here. None of you are good. To me, you are nothing but thugs, resolving everything with fists. People like you should hide in a hole. Said that, she pulls Yaro away. The group feels hurt by the words, but cannot refute. Away from the group, Ji-ina apologizes to Yaro. "Sorry, I lost my temper. Even saving us, I can't see them as good." Ji-ina gives up observing Daegun. If he has something with Sammy Lee, it shouldn't affect my plans, and tells Yaro, "See you around. I'm going to visit Jian at the hospital today." Seeing this, Yaro just waves goodbye to Ji-ina. Yaro understands Ji-ina's strange reaction. Her brother was a victim of bullying and is in a vegetative state. Seeing her brother at the hospital, Ji-ina doesn't understand bullies. They know they are hurting others. I don't understand what goes on in their heads. Do they think it's just a joke? If they felt the same pain, would they do this? Meanwhile, Daegun hugs Jinmo and asks, "How will I punish you?" Jinmo regrets and says, "Punish me however you want, but I want to apologize to the guys from before." Seeing this, Daegun smiles. "It's good that you apologize. After all, they are innocent. The real villain is another one." Won-Woong Kim still waits for news from Jungman Lee at the park. Jinmo and the others appear. Seeing this, Won-Woong Kim asks, "Why are only you guys here? Where is Lee and the others?" And takes his hand out of his pocket. "Who are you acting tough for?" Jinmo looks at Won-Woong Kim with anger and goes straight at him. Staring from above, Jinmo throws a punch. Won-Woong Kim dodges quickly and lands a punch on Jinmo's ribs, but can't handle being surrounded by so many people. They kick his chin. Won-Woong Kim is attacked from all sides. Seeing things get ugly, Won-Woong Kim tries to escape. In the rush, he trips on a block and Jinmo throws himself on top. Won-Woong Kim pushes him away with a punch, but the henchmen arrive kicking and corner him. They surround Won-Woong Kim, who knows he is screwed. The next day, the news that Won-Woong Kim was beaten by Jinmo spreads. Jinmo feels avenged, becomes more confident, and becomes the leader of Class 6. Jinmo is showing off and choosing who will do the chores for him when Daegun appears. Scared, Jinmo straightens up and asks, "Daegun, what are you doing here?" Daegun says he came to congratulate Jinmo on being the leader. Jinmo boasts, saying it is all thanks to him. Daegun asks, "Want to fight as a leader or just take a punch and get it over with?" Jinmo straightens up and says, "Please go easy." Daegun raises his fist. A precise punch on Jinmo, who feels like he is flying. "How nice! It's just flying to the goddess!" With one punch from Daegun, Jinmo faints. Daegun looks at the others. "Want to taste it?" Scared, they say, "We are not with him!" Daegun slaps one of them. "Stay quiet in the corner," they shout. "Understood." Daegun leaves Class 6. Now Daegun is the leader of Classes 1, 2, 3, and 6. In a few days, he conquered 4 classes. Manhwa No and the others are happy, surrounding Daegun to please him. He pushes them away with a book. "Don't disturb my studies." To surprise, Hojong says it was lighter than last time. "Daegun, when will you take us to a LAN house? I reached Gold League recently." Seeing this, Daegun adjusts his glasses, helpless. "You guys are very annoying, but I guess I can go with you once." Hearing this, the 3 three are immediately excited. Only Manho says awkwardly, I think I'm still bronze. Hojong quickly tells him to shut up. Nearby, Minsu Kim also says, if you dare take Dagun down, I will attack your chin with a brass knuckle. At that moment, Joo-hee Park suddenly says, I want to go too. Minsu Kim says immediately, you want to play? I'm ashamed to expose you. In the next second, Minsu Kim takes a punch in the face. Joo-hee Park says, why are you talking so much? I'm just going to play cart near you guys. Nearby, Manho and Hojong quickly stop Joo-hee Park. Seeing this, Daegun also shows a satisfied smile. At that moment, the leader of the 5th class, Ji-seok, is still trying to contact Won-woong Kim, but many calls are not answered. Nearby, Suzy Baek says, he wouldn't have dropped out of school, right? It can't be that bad. He didn't really lose to the transfer student, did he? Ji-seok recalls Won-woong Kim's words, thinking that guy probably won't come to school anymore. Thinking about Daegun makes Suzy Baek's heart race. This guy is not only handsome, but also good at fighting. Then she asks Ji-seok if he plans to fight Daegun, but Ji-seok isn't sure if he can win. Suzy Baek then suggests, why don't you team up with leaders from other classes? Ji-seok says, I thought about teaming up, but now only classes 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9 are left. But weren't you interested in those power rankings? Why do you seem so invested this time? Suzy Baek recalls the first time she saw Daegun, involuntarily calling him brother. Thinking about it makes Suzy Baek feel embarrassed. She wants to find a chance to intimidate Daegun a bit. After school, Daegun and the others go to a LAN house to play. However, Daegun's skills don't seem that strong. The group keeps losing games. Minsu Kim can't help teasing, Daegun, are you really gold? You didn't hire someone to boost your account, did you? Hearing this, Joo-hee Park intervenes. It's just a game. Why are you guys so excited? Daegun, don't mind them. They are just a bunch of guys who go crazy for games. But in the next moment, Joo-hee Park starts breaking the keyboard after losing a game. This scene leaves Daegun completely perplexed. In the end, because they kept breaking keyboards, they were kicked out by the owner. The next day, the group is still bitter about the losing streak. Daegun says awkwardly, if the owner hadn't kicked us out, I would have eventually revealed my true skills. Then Daegun stands up and says, I won't talk to you guys anymore. I'm going to take a tour of the other classes. Daegun knows that returning to school isn't just about defeating those bullies, but implementing management to reorganize the school. Daegun then goes to the 2nd class to look for Myung-jung Kim. As soon as he enters, he hears Myung-jung Kim say, I have been living a quiet campus life, as you said. Daegun then asks, that's good. How is your hand? Hearing this, Myung-jung Kim demonstrates some sophisticated finger movements, indicating his hand is fine. In the next second, he is interrupted by Daegun. Did you forget what I told you? Don't act arrogantly in front of me, but your performance isn't bad. Just keep it up in the future. If I hear any bad news, you know the consequences. Then Daegun goes to the 3rd class. However, after Sangbo Sim and others were beaten, they didn't return to school. So the atmosphere in the 3rd class seems good. Meanwhile, in the 6th class, several students are making a ruckus in front. Jinmo suddenly bangs on the table. You guys are very annoying. You are disturbing my studies. Can you be a little quieter? Nearby, Jinmo's friend asks, why did you start studying? Is it because you got beaten up and went crazy? In Jinmo's mind, Ji-ina's image appears. Now I know Ji-ina is actually the school's top student. To be worthy of her, I also need to study hard. At that moment, Suzy Baek says, if you want to study for real, shut up and do it. Jinmo doesn't dare be undisciplined with Suzy Baek. He says awkwardly that he understands. Suzy Baek is still bothered by calling Daegun brother. She calls Jinmo. Jinmo doesn't dare hesitate and runs quickly. Suzy Baek then says, you remember what happened that day, right? When I called Daegun brother accidentally, you should know I was trying to say Suyok Baek is my brother. Jinmo, looking at the book in his hand, says, I know. Seeing Jinmo's attitude, Suzy Baek gets angry and raises the comb to hit him. Do you dare ignore me? Scared, Jinmo quickly says, no, I am listening carefully. Seeing this, Suzy Baek stops and says, I'll let you off this time, but listen carefully. What I mean is, but before she can finish, she sees Daegun coming to the 6th class. Jinmo also runs quickly. Seeing Daegun, Suzy Baek's face turns red and she is momentarily speechless. Daegun just gives some instructions to Jinmo and leaves. Then Jinmo quickly returns to Suzy Baek and says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to run away. After all, Daegun is my leader. What were you going to say? Seeing this, Suzy Baek says calmly, take off your glasses first. Jinmo, terrified, takes off his glasses. In the next second, Suzy Baek hits Jinmo frantically with her book. Do you dare leave before I finish speaking? Jinmo doesn't dare fight back, just repeating, I was wrong. Upon repeating it a few times, Suzy Baek stops, not because she is forgiving Jinmo, but because she is afraid of sweating and ruining her makeup. Then Suzy Baek calls Jinmo's henchman. With a gloomy face, she says, stomp on him hard. The henchman, without hesitating, drag Jinmo out and start taking turns stomping on him. Sorry, Jinmo, we have no choice. At that moment, Suzy Baek is still thinking about how to deal with Daegun. Seeing they have already beaten him enough, she tells them to call Ji-seok. Soon, Ji-seok arrives at the 6th class. Suzy Baek asks immediately, how is that thing I told you about last time? You mean teaming up with other leaders? I am thinking about it, but why do you care about this? Suzy Baek says, no reason. I just want to intimidate him. Ji-seok says, then why don't you tell your brother? But Suzy Baek, with a shy face, says, no way. If I do that, he might actually be killed. I just want him to submit to me, for him to worship me like a queen. Got it? Right? I just want to see him submit to me. Think of a way for me quickly. Seeing this, Ji-seok is also helpless. Now it seems the only option is to team up with other leaders. We must eliminate Daegun anyway. It is planned to unite with leaders from other classes to deal with Daegun. At that moment, in the storage room on the school roof, leaders of the remaining classes gathered. The leader of the 5th 7th class, Jiseok, the leader of the 8th class, Dusik Kwak, the leader of the 7th class, Sung Hwangu, the leader of the 4th class, Dojin Park, and the leader of the 9th class, Seung Hoon Lee. Jiseok proposes the idea of uniting to deal with Daegun. Unexpectedly, Sung Hwangu rejects without thinking. I am not interested in rankings, and I don't think I would lose to Daegun. Dusik Kwak also says, I don't think our relationship is good enough for an alliance. I don't understand your purpose in proposing this union. Are you afraid of that transfer student? Hearing this, Jiseok is unhappy. I'll let it slide this time, but watch your words in the future. But Dusik Kwak says indifferently, even if you don't let it slide, what can you do? At this point, Sung Hwangu also provokes. Why don't you two fight right now? After all, you didn't determine the winner last time. The leader of the 4th class, Dojin Park, says immediately, sounds good. Let's add a bet. I'll put 500,000 on Dusik Kwak to win. Seeing this, Jiseok is speechless. I shouldn't have organized this meeting. But at that moment, Sung Hwangu says, I agree with the alliance. Dusik Kwak asks immediately, even if we ally, what can we do? Sung Hwangu then says, before I express my opinion, let's hear what Jiseok has in mind. Jiseok then says, as you can see, Daegun is quickly conquering several classes. Since the original ranking collapsed, I think we need to form a counterweight to Daegun to some extent. But in the next second, Sung Hwangu says, how boring. Let you weaklings deal with the alliance thing. Dojin Park also says, I don't like sharing money with others, so I'm also not planning to ally. Seeing this, Dusik Kwak doesn't hesitate and also prepares to leave. Upon leaving, he doesn't forget to mock, how could an alliance happen? Someone should use their brain. Jiseok can't hold back. You, stay right there. I said I wouldn't let you escape next time. Dusik Kwak is not intimidated at all. He waves his finger. I'll give you a chance to vent. Let's see if you can handle it. While the two are about to fight, Seung Hoon Lee quickly steps forward. Now is not the time for internal conflicts. Listen to my analysis first. The next collection day is coming soon. This is the main reason why we want to become leaders, and Golden Dragon's large-scale collection will definitely attract many strong individuals. Although I'm not clear about the reasons of you two, Sung Hwangu and Dojin Park's goals are clear. Their desire for money exceeds others. Although they pretend not to care, it is likely they will act before collection day. So we just need to observe for now and act after collection day. Meanwhile, Dojin Park from the 4th class returned to his class. He is playing a gambling game with classmates, but seems to have bad luck, losing a lot of money in a short time. Seeing Dojin Park getting frustrated, the guy quickly says, you don't need to pay me. Let's wrap it up for today and continue tomorrow. But Dojin Park looks at his hand, lost in thought. In the next second, he suddenly slaps the guy. The guy is taken by surprise and flies away. Seeing this, Dojin Park feels much better. I feel my luck is good now. Let's try again. Meanwhile, Jiseok just returned to his class. Suzy Baek approaches. She asks if Jiseok allied with leaders from other classes. Jiseok then explains Seung Hoon Lee's thoughts. Hearing this, Suzy Baek is speechless. In other words, you are doing nothing. There is no other way. I'll have to take the reins of the situation. After class, Dojin Park and some guys relax in the park. A minion warns that collection day is coming. Should we dominate more classes? Then we make more money. Dojin Park smiled hearing this. That was what I was thinking. That new student already controls 4 classes. Just need to get him out of the way. The minion says soon. Then I'll open a betting pool for you guys. Dojin Park says, no problem. Give me a good return and bet everything on me. We will profit some money. At that instant, some guys approach. Dojin Park and the group stand up and bow. Dojin Park asks, what's up, boss? How have you been? I heard you joined an organization after leaving school. The guy says, it's true, but it seems kind of hard right now. Then the guy looks back and says, client, I didn't expect your target to be my junior. To everyone's surprise, it is the student who lost money to Dojin Park before. The guy was hired to teach Dojin Park a lesson. At this moment, the big guy says, don't worry, little brother. Since I took your money, I'll do the job. Consider this as educating a junior. Dojin Park understands. So you mean they paid for you to teach me a lesson? The big guy confirms. That's right. It's an area I just entered. It's just work. So cooperate. All right? Hearing this, Dojin Park puts his hand on his belly and starts laughing loud. This is too much. Think you can act like a bully just because you joined an organization? In the end, you are just serving as a henchman for a student. How shameful. Hearing this, the guy gets irritated. You are getting more and more disrespectful. You should know who I am. I am Jai Jung-yuk from Tiger Construction Company. The guy slaps Dojin Park on the shoulder. I am very disappointed in you. I think I'll have to teach you a real lesson today. Then the guy clenches his hand to punch. To everyone's surprise, Dojin Park doesn't dodge and even gets closer. Boss, your fist is fatter. It is so soft. Like this, you can't tell who is teaching whom. In the next second, Dojin Park attacks suddenly and lands a punch in the guy's belly. The subject can't straighten up after that punch. Dojin Park lowers his head and says, your resistance to impact on the belly is terrible. You should exercise more. I don't even want to touch a pig-leg body like yours. Then he lands a punch on the subject's face. The big guy flies several meters and falls to the ground hard. Dojin Park seems dissatisfied and says, come at me all at once. Hearing this, the others get angry, but Dojin Park doesn't waste time and advances advances. These guys are no match for him. In a few seconds, they are all on the ground. The client is paralyzed, afraid to even speak. Dojin Park turns his attention to him. Scared, he runs away. Dojin Park is almost catching him, but at that moment, the big guy attacks by surprise, raising the baseball bat and trying to hit Dojin Park. Dojin Park has to give up chasing the guy and raises his arm to block the bat. The big guy tries to continue attacking, but takes a hit from behind by Dojin Park's friend. Seeing this, Dojin Park advances fast and lands a punch right in the guy's face. This time, the big guy flies far and faints for good. Dojin Park looks for the student who ran away, but he is long gone. Dojin Park has to give up. The next day, as soon as Daegun arrives at school, Manho and others find him and tell him about collection day. Now you are the boss of 4 classes and soon you will receive an operational fee. I think that was why you became boss, right? Daegun is confused. What operational fee? At this moment, Myung-jung Kim appears suddenly and says, they call it operational fee, but actually it is a protection fee that ends up in the hands of class bosses. The more classes you control, the more money you receive. Hearing this, Daegun says, from now on, this won't happen anymore. No one here will collect money anymore. Manho. No and the others get worried instantly. We can't do that. A part of the money goes to the second-year students, another to the third-year ones. If we don't pay, we are going against the whole school. The consequences are very serious. Hearing this, Daegun starts thinking, if it involves the whole school, the risk is really high. But wasn't that why I came back to clean this place? Whatever. At this moment, Jinmo also arrives, suddenly saying someone wants to see Daegun. Daegun gets a bit irritated. Why do people always want to see me? But to his surprise, the one who wants to see Daegun is Suzy Beck. Seeing this, Daegun grabs Jinmo by the neck instantly. Are you wanting to die? I already told you not to bother me with these things. Suzy Beck goes to Daegun and says, you better let him go before I get angry. Although he did a lot of annoying stuff. Only I can hit him. Hearing this, Daegun says bluntly, what nonsense are you talking about? By your rules, class 6 is mine now, so I deal with him however I want. Hearing this, Suzy Beck advances and grabs Jinmo's hand. Stop acting like a bully. I am above those rules you mentioned. Then Suzy Beck pulls hard, trying to drag Jinmo, but he is firm, held by Daegun, who says, I won't let him go. Do what you want. Hearing this, Suzy Beck gets anxious. How arrogant you are. Then the two start fighting over Jinmo. In the heat of the moment, Suzy Beck hugs Jinmo's arm. The feeling on the arm makes Jinmo radiate joy, feeling incredible. At that moment, Daegun looks at Jinmo and says, what are you doing? Your expression is very bizarre. Suzy Beck also realizes she is being used. Immediately, with a look of disgust, she lets go of Jinmo quickly. Jinmo suddenly feels a murderous intent. In the next second, Suzy Beck strikes his neck with her hand. She sends Jinmo flying for several meters. Then, looking at him, she says, I give you 3 seconds to disappear from my sight. Hearing this, Jinmo runs away without saying anything, at world champion speed, but now happy inside. Suzy Beck now approaches Daegun and says, I called you for something else. Then Suzy Beck grabs Daegun's collar, forcing him against a nearby pole. Suzy Beck is about to say something, but when she sees Daegun's eyes, she shyly lowers her head. Now Suzy Beck's heart is racing, and she can't say what she is thinking. Seeing this, Daegun says, if you have something to say it quickly. I don't have time to play with you. Hearing this, Suzy Beck suddenly raises her head and shouts, brother! Suzy Beck is immediately stunned, not expecting to call him brother again involuntarily. She explains quickly, I mean, last time I called you brother, I wasn't calling you. You might not know since you just transferred, but with one word from my brother, everyone in school has to listen to him. Hearing this, Daegun is speechless. You called me here just for this? Then he removes Suzy Beck's arm. With a twist, he immobilizes her. Suzy Beck is stunned, finding herself trapped by him. But no matter how hard she tries, she can't break free. Daegun now says, don't struggle, just call your brother there. I wanted to meet him too. Hearing this, Suzy Beck is stunned. Are you crazy? If you meet Suyok Beck, you are done for. That cannot happen at all. While the two are still struggling, some people approach from afar. One of them is the leader of the 4th class, Dojin Park. One of the bald guys recognizes Suzy Beck. What are you two doing? A boy and a girl clinging to each other in broad daylight. Hearing this, Daegun retorts, what are you saying, Baldy? Hearing this, Dojin Park, who was behind, almost explodes with laughter. The Baldy's face darkens. What did you say? Seeing the guy's reaction, Daegun raises his hand in apology. Sorry, I shouldn't have made a joke about your hair volume. Hearing this, Dojin Park starts laughing out loud. You are very funny. Jaok Wan didn't lose his hair. He shaved it on his own, so it's okay to call him Baldy. At that moment, a guy nearby says, stop laughing. Jaok Wan really is going bald. The guy waves to Daegun. First-year kids go cool off somewhere else. Daegun asks Suzy Beck, do you know these guys? Why are they giving me orders? Suzy Beck says, that guy is named Ju Gong Myung, and the Baldy in front is the second-year leader, Jaok Wan. Hearing this, Daegun has a plan in mind. He says, we arrived here first. If anyone has to leave, it's you. Hearing this, Suzy Beck says, what are you saying? Are you crazy? Jaok Wan also doubts his ears. Really is crazy. Jaok Wan is about to teach Daegun a lesson, but Suzy Beck suddenly receives a call from her brother, Suyok Beck. Nearby, Ju Gong Myung quickly stops Jaok Wan, who wants to act. Then Suzy Beck is heard saying, brother, are you coming in a bit? Then I'll wait for you here. Daegun also asks if Suyok Beck is coming, but Suzy Beck ignores Daegun. Looking at Jaok Wan and his group, she says, if you guys don't have anything else, I'll take this guy and leave. I still have business with him. Ju Gong Myung stands in front of Jaok Wan and advises, calm down. If Suyok Beck sees us beating his sister's friend in front of Suzy Beck, we are done for. Then he waves to Suzy Beck. Suzy, you can take like him. Remember to say hi to Big Suyak for us? Then Suzy Beck takes Daegun away from there. Watching the two leave, Ju Gongmyung can't help but sigh. Having a good brother is really good. Jak Wan, watching the scene, is also red with rage, but he doesn't dare act against Suzy Beck. Then he says to Dojin Park, "You chose a good opponent. Deal with him quickly in the next few days." But Dojin Park, looking at Daegun's departing figure, gets lost in thought. Damn, I can't hold back anymore. I don't want to simply let him leave. At least let me test him first. Nearby, Ju Gongmyung advises, "With Suzy Beck around, we can't do anything." But in the next second, Dojin Park charges forward without thinking. Daegun is the first to sense Dojin Park's surprise attack. He quickly pulls Suzy Beck to the side to dodge, barely escaping the attack. Dojin Park then makes a sharp turn and attacks Daegun again. Since Suzy Beck is nearby, Daegun can only dodge for now. After avoiding several attacks from Dojin Park, Daegun finally finds an opportunity and lands a slap on his face. Normally, this slap would knock Dojin Park unconscious, but he is not only shaken, he becomes even more excited, attacking Daegun again. Daegun is secretly shocked. I didn't expect Dojin Park's resilience to be so strong, but since Suzy Beck is behind him, Daegun cannot fight freely. Seeing this, Daegun continues to dodge while creating distance from Dojin Park. Finally, Daegun finds a chance to lock Dojin Park's arm. Unfortunately, Dojin Park notices this first, and without hesitating, kicks Daegun away. Dojin Park then says, "What are you doing? Just dodging?" At that moment, Daegun sees that Suzy Beck has moved away and sighs in relief. Now he can finally fight without holding back. Dojin Park was still provoking. "Why do you look so pathetic? You are nothing like the rumors said." But before he could finish speaking, Daegun had already punched him. Before Dojin Park could react, Daegun followed up with a kick, throwing Dojin Park several meters away. The powerful blow made Dojin Park curse involuntarily, but in the next second, Daegun kicked him again. This kick sent Dojin Park flying. Dojin Park quickly rolled and stood up again. This time, Dojin Park finally realized Daegun's terrifying strength and couldn't help but say, "You are really damn strong." Meanwhile, Daegun asked, "Is your arm okay?" Only then did Dojin Park feel the pain in his arm. He suddenly remembered what happened last night. He thought it was nothing, but it seemed he had underestimated the situation. Daegun took off his jacket and said, "You better hope your arm is okay because you might be about to get beaten up." But suddenly, Suzy Beck shouted, "Daegun, why are you taking off your clothes?" Daegun was speechless. "I am just taking off my jacket," Suzy Beck replied, "but you shouldn't do that in front of so many people." Hearing this, Daegun realized that many people had gathered around. It seemed they couldn't have a proper fight right now. Dojin Park also said that, although it was a pity, they had technically already fought. "So let's end it here today. Wait for me to come find you next time. I will show you what I am really capable of then." After saying that, Dojin Park pushed through the crowd and left. Nearby, the second-year student Ju Gongmyung said, "You look disappointed. Don't worry, you guys will meet again soon." Daegun replied immediately, "I hope you are there next time too. It would be troublesome to beat you guys up separately." Hearing this, Ju Gongmyung got angry. How dare a first-year student be so arrogant? He was about to run over and settle things with Daegun, but Jaok Wan stopped him saying, "You are a second year after all. Being provoked by a first year is inappropriate." Hearing this, Ju Gongmyung had to give up confronting Daegun and left with Jaok Wan. Daegun didn't stop them, as it wasn't appropriate to fight anymore right now. Nearby, Suzy Beck scolded Daegun for being crazy enough to irritate a second-year boss. "Although you are quite strong, you shouldn't casually provoke the second years. Also, thank you for earlier, but next time don't grab a girl's waist so tightly." Daegun said impotently, "I don't feel like it's dangerous and I thought I was being kind. By the way, didn't you say Suyak Beck was coming?" Suzy Beck replied, "I said that to save you. I was lying to them. After all, you were very hostile towards the second years just now and a while ago. And why do you keep wanting to meet my brother? You will probably be done for if you meet him. Just deal with the first years for now. The bosses of the other classes are all talking about taking care of you." After saying that, Suzy Beck left first. Daegun was helpless. It seemed he wouldn't meet Suyak Beck today. "If I knew, I should have dealt with that baldy from the second year, but I still need to see Suyak Beck about the protection money matter." That guy from Dojin Park was quite unusual though. I could tell from his shoulders that he isn't someone to mess with. Anyway, I am surprised he managed to handle my punch. Maybe I haven't found my previous feeling yet. I hope next time he can endure a bit more, so I can recover my previous feeling. Scene change. Daegun and his group are sitting together studying. While Daegun was immersed in the study atmosphere, Dojin Park suddenly came with a book. Manho, No, and others instinctively thought Dojin Park was coming to cause trouble. Dojin Park walked up to Daegun and complained, "I wanted to talk to you, but there is no seat left." Then he looked at Jinmo, sitting opposite Daegun, and said, "Get up and give me your seat." Jinmo thought to himself, I am in trouble now. Although I know I can't beat him with so many people watching, getting up like this would be very embarrassing. The authority I worked so hard to build would vanish. So Jinmo stood up and said, "Why should I give you my seat?" Minsu Kim nearby was shocked and quickly said, "Jinmo, you are quite brave. Daegun won't help you." Seeing this, Dojin Park smiled instead of getting angry and raised his hand to scare Jinmo. Jinmo instinctively dodged. Realizing what he had done, Jinmo felt incredibly embarrassed and quickly explained, "It was a reflex, not fear." But Dojin Park said, "I wasn't going to hit you. Let's play rock, paper, paper, scissors. Jinmo felt immediately relieved. They played rock, paper, scissors, and unsurprisingly, Jinmo lost. Jinmo, with a righteous expression, said, "I lost. I give you the seat." After saying that, Jinmo left the seat secretly relieved for not only giving up the seat, but also for saving face. But in the next second, Dojin Park patted Jinmo on the shoulder and asked, "Where are you going?" Then Dojin Park slapped Jinmo hard on the face. "I didn't say the bet was this seat. Since you lost, you have to accept the punishment." Jinmo was slapped and flew backward. Nearby, Manhua and others couldn't help but comment, "That guy is very unlucky." After dealing with Jinmo, Dojin Park sat opposite Dagon. Dagon thought Dojin Park had come to fight with him, but Dojin Park said, "I didn't come to fight with you this time, but we will have to fight sooner or later. Why not set some conditions and make a bet?" Meanwhile, at the second-year location, Ju Gongmyung, Sung Hwang-gu, the boss of Class 8, was also there. Ju Gongmyung asked if the venue was ready, and Sung-hoon Lee replied that everything was prepared. They could simply send everyone to the gym directly. Ju Gongmyung approved, but asked, "Have you seen the transfer student fight? How good is he?" Sung-hoon Lee replied that he hadn't seen him, but since he could defeat Sangbo Sim, he must be quite formidable. Ju Gongmyung then asked, "What do you think of Dojin Park?" Dojin Park is an interesting guy, with a one-man army aura. Just looking at him makes people feel scared, especially because he has unique advantages. The flexibility and elasticity of his body give him formidable power, but people like him, who rely on physical qualities, tend to be technically deficient. Meanwhile, Dojin Park was questioning his life again. He hadn't won a single round playing rock, paper, scissors with Dagon. Not wanting to admit defeat, Dojin Park wanted to play a few more rounds. But Dagon said, "I'm done playing. Even if you won, I would agree to all the things you said before." Hearing this, Dojin Park was dissatisfied. "What do you mean by even if I won?" But in the next second, Dojin Park realized the problem. Now wasn't the time to argue about winning or losing. So Dojin Park stood up and prepared to leave, saying, "Remember what you said. Don't go back on your word. See you this Friday at the gym." Dagon replied immediately, "No problem, but you should fix your arm first. I don't want to see you complaining." After Dojin Park left, Manhono quickly asked Dagon, "Although I don't know why you deliberately lost to him, was it necessary to agree to the bet? Even if you two eventually fight, doing it in second-year territory seems suspicious, doesn't it?" Dagon naturally saw that this could be a trap, but this way he could also deal with the second-year students. But at this moment, another person came looking for Dagon. Dagon asked what they wanted. The man hesitated, but finally said, "Could you help us speed up Dojin Park, but could you lose to him?" Dagon was stunned. "What are you saying?" The man explained, "Dojin Park's bet with you is to open betting. Many people are betting on who will win between you and Dojin Park. The second-year students are doing the same, but besides that, I also have a reason why you must lose." Dagon was even more confused. "I think it's very hard for me to lose to him." "What is your reason?" The man stuttered, but finally explained. It turns out the man had paid someone before to teach Dojin Park a lesson, but failed, and Dojin Park held a grudge. Last night, Dojin Park found the man. After a lesson, he made the man pay him protection money. Then he took the man to recover the 500,000 won he had paid to the hired muscle. But when they got there, the person was nowhere to be found. However, a loan shark ad on the wall caught Dojin Park's attention. In the end, the man was forced by Dojin Park to take a high-interest loan. Dojin Park said he would return the money if he won. "So, if you win, I won't get my money back and will still owe a loan shark." After the man finished, before Dagon could speak, Juhee Park got upset. "Do you want to beat Dojin Park that badly? Why don't I beat you first?" But Dagon said, "I can't lose to him, but I'll help you beat him. Are you good at English? If so, come meet me after school." After school, Dagon followed the man to the loan shark's place. Then he said, "I'll go up and take a look. You go back first." Dagon had just gone up. Someone asked what he was doing there and if he wanted to borrow money. Then he followed the man inside. The man asked what grade Dagon was in and how much he wanted to borrow. Dagon naturally wouldn't tell him and also wouldn't borrow money. He quickly made up an excuse and was about to leave. The man got angry, grabbed Dagon and asked, "Are you kidding me, kid? You don't look like you are here to borrow money. Who are you?" Dagon grabbed the man's arm. Feeling the pain in his arm, the man couldn't help but start trembling. Dagon then said, "I said I'm leaving. I'll let you go, but don't follow me out." The man grabbed an ashtray on the table to hit Dagon, but Dagon knocked him down. Then he gave the man a blow, who immediately passed out. Dagon was about to leave, but the documents on the table caught his attention. After flipping through them, he found the loan information of the student who asked for help, but in the next second, Dagon was stunned. He saw a photo of Chairman Lee here, which confused him. At that moment, there were sounds outside. Dagon quickly prepared to leave. Just as he reached the door, someone entered. The leader saw Dagon and asked who he was, but then was distracted by the unconscious man, thinking he was sleeping. Dagon said, "I have to go," and left. But as soon as Dagon left, they realized something was wrong. They took down their leader. Hearing the commotion, Dagon bolted quickly. Luckily, he ran enough not to be caught. Safe. Dagon was going to call Sammy Lee to know why Chairman Lee's photo was there, but in the end gave up, resolved to deal with the Dojin Park case first. He checked the weather on his phone. Will it rain on Friday? I don't really like that. Friday arrived flying. Dojin Park and the gang arrived early at the gym. Sung-hoon Lee and others were preparing the place. Soon, the second-year personnel also arrived. The leader was the second-year boss, Ja Kwon. On the other side, Daegun was already on his way with Manho No and others. Daegun didn't want Manho No and the others to go, but they were worried about him going alone into second-year territory. Their backpacks were full of weapons. Daegun was speechless. Then Min-soo Kim said he found a way to deal with Dojin Park, but Daegun replied coolly that he already knew when he flipped the coin with him. Min-soo Kim and Ho Jong behind him were confused. But then Daegun's phone rang. After reading, Daegun said awkwardly that they would have to go ahead. I have something to resolve, but I'll be back soon. Manho No and the others could only arrive at the gym first. Seeing this, Ja Kwon and others couldn't resist and teased, "Is Daegun scared?" Manho No replied instantly that no, Daegun is not that type. Nearby, Ju Gongmyung recognized Manho No and said, "You guys can find a place to sit." Min-soo Kim sighed in relief. Thanks to Manho No, we are safe. The pressure from these middle gang followers is really strong. Then the gym doors opened again, and more people arrived. A group of students in uniform entered. It was the second-tier bully group of the second year, the Sacred Ties. The boss of the Sacred Ties said, "It's just a first-year fight. Need all this pomp." At this time, the boss of Class 9, Sung-hoon Lee, said, "No choice. After all, the transfer student is not just any freshman." Ja Kwon and others didn't expect Sung-hoon Lee to come. Ju Gongmyung told everyone to find a place to sit. Sung-hoon Lee found a place to sit with his gang. After sitting, he asked when the transfer student was going to arrive. Manho No and others were getting anxious, hoping Daegun would appear soon. After a while waiting, Dojin Park couldn't take it anymore and threw his phone, cursing, "What the fuck? Where is this guy? I'm dying of boredom. Someone from the first or second year come fight me now." His friend tried to calm him down quickly. Ju Gongmyung also said, "We should arrange some fun. Can't waste time waiting." Then Dojin Park looked at Manho No. "Since Daegun isn't here, come warm up with me first." Hearing this, Min-soo Kim freaked out and asked Manho No what to do now. Manho No said it didn't matter. Daegun's delay is our class's responsibility. Since it's like this, I'll face this guy first. But then Sung-hoon Lee stood up suddenly and said, "That won't happen. Both sides have to be in the best conditions to be fair." Hearing this, Dojin Park got pissed and cursed. "What does a baldy like you know? I need to warm up first." But Sung-hoon Lee continued denying, said he would put 2 students from his class with special skills to fight instead. Then someone opened the door and said, "Did I arrive late?" Manho No and others turned quickly, thinking Daegun had arrived. Dojin Park was also super excited, crazy to start fighting, but it wasn't Daegun, it was Myung-jung Kim. As soon as he entered, he shouted, "No one is stupid enough to bet on Dojin Park's victory today, right? Watch out, I won't even get my money back." Hearing this, Dojin Park exploded with anger. What did this guy mean? Nearby, Min-soo Kim scolded quickly, "You idiot, shut up!" But Myung-jung Kim seemed not to hear and asked, "Who do I give the money to if I want to bet? There's no one here who can't handle losing, right?" By this time, Dojin Park was furious and spoke angrily, "Myung-jung Kim, you were the boss of the second class, right?" Myung-jung Kim still hadn't grasped the seriousness of the situation and boasted that, although he was once a war veteran, he now served Daegun. But in the next second, Dojin Park advanced and punched him. Myung-jung Kim was paralyzed, but Dojin Park wasn't going to stop. He grabbed Myung-jung Kim's head and threw him away. "Today I'll teach you what it means to hit someone who doesn't fight back, especially someone who has no eyes." Myung-jung Kim wanted to say something, but Dojin Park didn't give a chance. He went straight for a kick. Nearby, Manho No was shocked. "What is happening suddenly?" Ja Kwon said, "True. Before the main course, we need an appetizer." Myung-jung Kim had no way to fight back Dojin Park's beating and got beaten badly. "This guy can't handle anything. I didn't even finish warming up." Then he shouted, "Manho No, now it's your turn." But then a voice came from the gym entrance. "What's going on? Want to fight me? Already impatient?" Daegun arrived late, as always. Dojin Park shouted, Daegun finally arrived. Manho No and the others were relieved to see Daegun. Daegun said, "Sorry for the delay." Dojin Park replied, "If you took longer, your friends would be on the ground. But this Myung-jung Kim probably isn't your friend, right?" Daegun said nothing. Instead, he took off his clothes and said, "I don't know, but since they beat one, they must be warmed up." Dojin Park was going to speak, but Daegun threw his clothes at him, blocking his vision. In the next second, Daegun attacked suddenly, giving a punch to each of Dojin Park's friends. Then Daegun said, "I also warmed up using your friends. Last time we didn't fight properly. What a pity. Today you better be prepared. I won't go easy." Everyone seemed anxious. Ja Kwon asked to move the guys on the ground to open space. Dojin Park was excited. "Daegun, I really like you. Interesting toys like you are rare." Saying that, Dojin Park advanced. "Now I want to tear you apart." He threw a punch at Daegun, but no matter how Dojin Park attacked, he couldn't hit. This enraged Dojin Park and he shouted, "I don't know what you are doing. Will you just keep dodging? Have the courage to exchange blows with me. Don't run." Min-soo Kim and the others were also confused. Why was Dojin Park just punching aimlessly with so many openings? And why was Daegun just dodging? At this point, Min-soo Kim said, "Maybe Daegun is analyzing the opponent. Based on past experience, whenever Daegun fights one-on-one, he focuses on dodging the opponent's attacks and only counterattacks after understanding their strength." And indeed, after dodging Dojin Park's attack, Daegun began to counterattack. Finding an opportunity, he punched Dojin Park in the ribs. Dojin Park retaliated hastily, but couldn't hit Daegun. While dodging, Daegun grabbed Dojin Park's leg with a kick to stabilize himself. Then he jumped back and hit Dojin Park with a punch. Dojin Park was thrown back by this punch, but in the next second, Dojin Park did a kip-up and got up. Then he launched an even more ferocious attack. But no matter how Dojin Park attacked, he couldn't hit Daegun. Instead, he was hit by Daegun countless times. Daegun found an opportunity and slapped Dojin Dojin Park's face, and while Dojin Park was stunned by the slap, Dagon followed with a horizontal kick to the abdomen. A kick sent Dojin Park flying for several meters. After rolling several times, Dojin Park stabilized. Everyone was shocked that Dagon was able to kick someone as strong as Dojin Park away, while Dojin Park couldn't even touch him. Sung-hoon Lee commented, "If Dojin Park continues with broad attacks, he will never hurt Dagon." Now Dojin Park couldn't help but complain. "You hit hard, man." Dagon then said, "I didn't expect you to be so resistant. It seems you will give me a good warm-up." Dojin Park was stunned. "Are you saying you are still warming up? That's good, because I am too." And with that, Dojin Park attacked again, but the result was the same. No matter how Dojin Park attacked, he couldn't hit Dagon. Seeing this, Dagon smiled. "This guy still hasn't realized? Continuing like this, he can't win against me. What a pity he hasn't discovered what is really important. As long as he doesn't realize, no matter how powerful his attacks are, the results will be the same. He can only get beaten." Now the spectators finally noticed something was wrong, and now Manhwa no also saw why Dojin Park kept getting hit. Although Dojin Park had an unusual body, unfortunately, he was used to relying on the power his physique provided. This made his attacks completely lack technique. Although previously his physique could compensate for the technical gap, this time his opponent was Dagon, who had power and technique. Now Dojin Park was starting to question his life. He couldn't understand why his attacks couldn't hit Dagon, while Dagon said casually, "Try harder, I'm getting sleepy. Didn't you say you wanted to tear apart what you like?" Meanwhile, at Susie Beck's place, having just heard from Jiseok that Dagon was fighting second-year students, she wanted to run there. Susie Beck thought Dagon was crazy if that guy was still speaking rudely to the second-year students like before. Thinking about it, Susie Beck quickened her pace. Meanwhile, after hearing Dagon's words, Dojin Park couldn't help but slap himself twice. Trying to adjust his state, he thought, "I endured until now. It should be my turn to attack now, right?" With this in mind, Dojin Park attacked again, but the result was still being kicked away by Dagon. Undeterred, Dojin Park quickly got up and attacked again, but he still couldn't change the result. Unable to hit Dagon, he was continuously beaten unilaterally. Finally, after taking who knows how many punches, Dojin Park completely lost the ability to resist. Seeing this, Dagon grabbed his head and slammed it on the floor. Everyone was stunned, not expecting Dojin Park to lose like this. Dagon then turned his gaze to Jakwon and said, "Thanks to this guy for warming me up. Now it's your turn, Baldy." However, behind him, the fallen Dojin Park got up again. "Did I give you permission to call the next one? The battle has just begun." The crowd was shocked. No one expected Dojin Park to get up again, but Dojin Park's face made everyone hesitate to intervene. Dagon spoke softly, "Wipe that mouth, it's bleeding." Dojin Park replied, "Now I know why I didn't hit you. You figured out my fighting style, right? So what will you do if your body doesn't keep up with your mind?" Sung Hwang-gu commented calmly, "Looks like the fight is just starting. Now Dojin Park only has the obsession to win. Like in the movies, he can gain power beyond normal in extreme situations." Dojin Park prepared to run. With an explosive sprint, he advanced on Dagon. But in the next second, he took a punch to the head from Dagon. "What are you talking about, boy?" Dojin Park was annoyed. "Why didn't it go like the script?" And then Sung Hwang-gu said awkwardly, "Looks like movie scenes don't happen in real life." Then Dagon turned his face to Jakwon. "I heard you guys are collecting protection money from students. Are you thugs? Who gave you permission to collect protection money? Aren't you students too? From now on, no one collects protection money anymore, or else you'll end up like Dojin Park." Up on the stage, Jakwon said, "It seems you still haven't understood. Collecting protection money is just a form. It's to give people spiritual freedom." Before he finished, Dagon cut in, "What bald monk are you trying to be? Come down here and I'll show you what it's like to take a headbutt." Jakwon hadn't even said anything yet. Nearby, Ju Gongmyung couldn't hold back and cursed, "Who do you think you are?" At that time, the boss of the Sacred Ties spoke coolly. "These kids nowadays have no manners. A mere first-year student wanting to end the tradition of collecting protection money. Never mind. I won't explain anything more to you. Let your body learn." All members of the Sacred Ties stood up and started surrounding and attacking Dagon without hesitation. Seeing this, Manhwa no despaired and wanted to help Dagon, but in the next second, he saw a figure fly past him. Dagon said, "No need to help, just watch." These second-year kids were no match for Dagon. In an instant, most had already been taken out. Now it was Ju Gongmyung and the others' turn to be shocked. They didn't expect one person to handle so many people. At that time, someone tried to attack Dagon from behind with a bench. Manhwa no immediately warned Dagon and wanted to help, but in the next second, he saw that person being slapped away. Manhwa no was confused. What was going on? It turns out the one who acted was Dojin Park, who had gotten up again. The second-year guy was pissed. "What are you doing?" He tried to attack Dojin Park, but took a slap away directly from him. Now, Dojin Park looked like another person, smiling fiercely at Dagon, saying, "It's not over yet, but seeing your condition, you probably only last one more attack, so I'll specially show you my true strength." Manhwa no was surprised to see Dagon take a fighting stance for the first time. Hearing this, Dojin Park was a bit confused. "I don't know what you are talking about, but I feel my body extremely light now. In my current state, I can definitely tear you apart." And he advanced towards Dagon again, but Dagon didn't care, eyes fixed on Dojin Park. When Dojin Park was almost arriving, Dagon moved later, but hit first with an uppercut. The punch hit Dojin Park's chin squarely. Dojin Park didn't even see Dagon's punch before fainting. Dagon was still in the fighting stance. Jakwon was shocked by the scene. How is this possible? How do I see in him what is only present in that person? The boss of the Sacred Ties was also annoyed. What just happened? Why was there a gunshot sound? Dagon thought, looks like it's finally over. Min-soo Kim warned Dagon not to say that, in case Dojin Park got up again. But this time, Dojin Park was really done for. lying on the ground without moving. Daegun guaranteed, relax. That punch was his limit, probably. Then Daegun turned his face to Dojin Park's friends, ordering them to take him. Now Zhao Guan looked at Daegun and wouldn't stop shaking. One leg was shaking so much it left tracks, he murmured. How can he have the same aura as that person? Ju Gongmyung was shocked. That person? Could it be Soo-hyuk-baek? At that time, Zhao Guan drifted into memories. Remembering the scene when he met Soo-hyuk-baek, Ju Gongmyung slapped Zhao Guan's face to bring him back to reality and asked what they should do now. But Zhao Guan said, "It's no use. My skill level can't see through his aura, but I know no one can handle him." Now Daegun spoke. From now on, no one collects protection money anymore. Whoever doesn't agree can come down. But no one dared to move. Daegun was at a loss for what to do. Since you don't want to come, I'll choose randomly. Whoever I point to comes down. But at that instant, Daegun received a call from Sammy Lee. As soon as he answered, he heard Sammy Lee say, "From now on, follow my instructions." Nearby, Min-soo Kim and the others were confused about why Daegun was answering a call suddenly. By this time, Sammy Lee had finished giving instructions and said she would call back later. Daegun had to put the phone away and say, "Let's end it here today. I have something else to do, so I'll let you go for now." Then Daegun signaled Manho No and others to leave. Seeing Daegun leave, everyone sighed in relief. But in the next second, Daegun turned around and said, "I heard you are going to collect protection money next week. If you dare, I absolutely won't let you get away with it." Everyone was angry, but afraid to speak up. As soon as Daegun opened the gym doors, he bumped into someone entering. It was Susie Beck, who had run worried about Daegun's safety. As soon as she saw Daegun, she asked anxiously, "Are you okay?" Daegun assured her he was fine. Susie Beck was stunned. "But I heard there were many second-year students here." In the next second, Susie Beck saw people lying everywhere. Seeing this, Susie Beck asked incredulously, "Were you the one who did all this?" But Daegun didn't answer her question. Instead, he gave his coat to Susie Beck to wear. Susie Beck's face immediately turned red. Although verbally resistant, she honestly took the coat. In the next second, Daegun personally put the coat on Susie Beck. To Susie Beck, it felt like wearing a wedding dress. While Susie Beck was still lost in romantic thoughts, Jinmo suddenly brought her back to reality. "Susie, aren't you coming? We are leaving." Seeing this, Susie Beck quickly caught up. At this point, the boss of the Sacred Ties was speechless. What is the relationship between this transfer student and Susie Beck? This makes him even harder to deal with. Nearby, Sung-hoon Lee suggested, "It seems this guy isn't someone the second-year students can handle. Why not use his relationship with Susie Beck to involve Soo-hyuk-baek?" Manho No and others, who had already walked 3 kilometers, realized Myung-jung Kim still hadn't left. Daegun said, "Sorry, could you take care of Myung-jung Kim? I have something to do, so I'll go first." After leaving, according to Sammy Lee's instructions, Daegun returned to the loan company. He claimed he recently received an anonymous text message with his photo attached, but despite coming many times, he didn't find his information. Now he could only come to confirm and personally clear things up. But in the next second after entering, Daegun saw a group of men in suits standing there. He immediately hung up the phone. Several men surrounded him and asked who he was, but Daegun just stood there without speaking. A man tried to slap Daegun, but in the next second, Daegun suddenly acted, pushing the man away with a slap. The other men were furious and prepared to surround Daegun. But in the next second, a man came out and told everyone to stop, saying this guy was dangerous. Then the man walked up to Daegun and said, "Long time no see. How have you been lately?" Looking at the man before him, Daegun said, "I didn't expect to see you here, Heejin Park." Afterward, Daegun and Heejin Park went to the terrace to catch up. Daegun said, "So that text message the other day was yours. I ran here just to find everything in chaos. This was also your work, right?" Heejin Park replied, "These guys have been investigating us behind our backs. I heard about you when I was dealing with them and thought it must be you who started suspecting us and investigating our background. But don't worry, only I know about this. What are you doing now? You are wearing a school uniform, right?" Daegun replied, "Do I really need to answer that? I'm at school, but don't ask too much. I have my own difficulties." Heejin Park said, "Although I don't know what you are doing, I know you are connected to that woman, Sammy Lee. You better not trust her too much." Daegun replied, "I don't want to get involved in these complicated issues. I want to live a normal life. Study well, graduate quietly, get into a good university, live the common life everyone lives." Then Daegun prepared to leave, telling Heejin Park, "It was good seeing you today, but next time I won't be so friendly. Don't come interfering in my daily life." But at that instant, Heejin Park asked suddenly, "Daegun, can you focus on your studies?" Hearing this, Daegun remembered he wasn't even as good at studying as Jinmo, and immediately felt irritated. He turned to look at Heejin Park and said fiercely, "Don't appear in front of me again." But after walking for a while, Daegun realized something strange. Heejin Park said he had already dealt with my information, so how did he know about my connection with Sammy Lee? The next day, since Daegun defeated Dojin Park, he entered a brief weekend break. On that day, he went to the baseball stadium with Manho No and others to relax. Seeing Daegun, Manho No immediately picked up a pen and handed it to Daegun. Seeing this, Daegun thought Manho No was encouraging him to study hard, but Manho No said, "What nonsense, this is for you to use as a weapon." After saying this, Manho No entered the baseball stadium ahead of him. Nearby, Juhee Park then stepped forward and held Daegun, saying, "Let's go up too." When they went up, they saw that Manho No and the others had already started playing. Seeing this, Daegun was eager to see Manho No play baseball. He struggled with a baseball bat, but in the next second, he saw that Manho No didn't hit a single ball. Seeing this, Daegun couldn't help mocking, "You are playing terribly." Manho No replied immediately, "What's the rush? This is a new bat. I was just testing the field. All right, now I'll use that one." In the next second, a baseball flew right over, but this time Manho no hit precisely, a perfect home run. How did Manho no suddenly get so good? Manho no explained proudly, "This is thanks to the baseball technique I researched. Actually, it's very simple. Just look at the ball slightly cross-eyed. That way, the focus gets blurry and you see everything duplicated. The ball is no exception. When the two balls come together, it's time to fire." Daegun was speechless. "If there is a fight, call me for the sake of humanity." Then Hojong jumped in and said it was his turn. In the next second, the ball flew out, but Hojong caught the ball with his belly. Minsu Kim asked, "What are you doing? Why don't you hit the ball?" Hojong replied, "I'm not here to play. I came to train my resistance." Hojong endured a punch from Daegun, but seeing Dojin Park get beaten so much and still stand, "I saw that my future is resistance." Daegun said, "You just had to say it. I could have helped you." Hojong dodged quickly. Then Daegun prepared to show his skills. Suddenly, some girls appeared looking at Daegun. "I wanted to be disciplined by those strong arms." Juhee Park got annoyed and stared at the two. They weren't intimidated. "Are you staring at us, brat? Want to die?" The guys appeared. "What is going on? Who is staring? Which fool is messing with the Bongjun High School crowd?" They looked at Manho no and the others. "Is it you punks? Which school are you from? Don't you know who we are?" But the guy saw Manho no and froze, instinctively protecting his lower parts, recognizing him. Manho no said, "Do we know each other? What were you gonna say?" Before the guy answered, the one in green cursed, "What are you talking about, you piece of shit?" The guy tried to take the one in the green shirt away, but he got more heated. That guy stared at Mindy. The guy spoke seriously. "Do you want to have children with Mindy? Listen to me. If you mess with the redhead, it might go bad." Manho no and the others were confused. One of the girls couldn't hold back. "What are you doing?" He stared at me. Daegun turned his head, not understanding anything. Seeing Daegun, the guy got more scared, sweating cold. He pushed the one in green back. The one in green was going to run away. It became clear he was one of those beaten in the fight with Bong Yoon. Meanwhile, Dojin Park was getting screwed. He was being chased by some guys in black. Dojin Park didn't understand who they were, thought they were debt collectors. But the guys in black went at him without warning. Dojin Park got irritated and fought back, taking one down easily. The guys in black were shocked. Is this guy just a student? At that moment, Heejin Park appeared. "Let me handle him." Dojin Park felt the pressure. "Who are you? This is none of your business." Heejin Park did Daegun's pose. "Since you want to resist, let's end this quickly." Dojin Park panicked and said nothing. Soon, Dojin Park was defeated. Heejin Park said, "You don't even have money. How are you going to pay? You'll have to pay with your body." Dojin Park never went to school again. After Daegun defeated Dojin Park, he ordered Do Hyun Kim to investigate bullying and report. This gave Do Hyun Kim morale. Generally, bullies were respectful to him. Do Hyun Kim, with Daegun's fame, created the anti-bullying committee, gathering the bullied to collect evidence. But classes 7 and 9 didn't have representatives or reports. In class 9, a guy was annoying others. He didn't care about classmates' warnings and teased, "You nerds only know how to study and aren't even good." Ji Inna, seeing the scene, said, "There's nothing to do, go to the street." The guy didn't care. "Big nerds, study there and don't meddle." Ji Inna got irritated. "You're making too much noise. How are we going to study?" The guy couldn't take it. "You annoying. If you weren't a woman, I would have already hit you." Sung Hoon Lee appeared. "Come with me quickly. Need to talk to you." Sung Hoon Lee took the guy to the corner and gave him a push. "You idiot. Why are you disturbing the study? Stop being special." The guy got beaten badly, apologizing. Sung Hoon Lee said, "Get lost. I don't want to see you today. Go home." Sung Hoon Lee called on his phone. "Want to meet now? After all, only we three are left. Still can work together." At the same time, Jisok and Dusik Kwak arrived. The two knew Daegun dared to face the seniors, which shocked, and Jisok, the leader, stayed quiet. Dusik Kwak soon spoke. "And now what do we do? This guy is ordering no one to pay the protection fee." Jisok agreed. "It's true. We were going to start collecting now. We have to deal with him before that." Sung Hoon Lee soon said, "Daegun is really strong, but crossed the line. Now he is facing the whole school. But relax, I already came up with a plan. We get rid of Daegun first and collect the protection fee as planned." Meanwhile, where Daegun was, Do Hyun Kim gave a report to him. At this time, Susie Beck appeared out of nowhere. She returned Daegun's clothes and explained, "Accidentally, I got makeup on it, so I washed it." Ju Hee Park soon spoke. "How do you get makeup on it just by wearing it? I think you buried your face and inhaled deeply." Susie Beck turned red instantly and defended herself. "What nonsense are you talking about?" But deep down, she thought he was right. The two started arguing right there. At that moment, Manho no asked Daegun, "If these guys continue collecting the fee, are we really going to face them? After all, this involves the seniors' interests. Aren't we exaggerating?" Daegun replied, "Relax. That is exactly what I want." At the same time, he thought, "Wasn't that why I came to this school? Let the show you want to see begin now." Returned to the room and ordered his guy to start collecting. His guy reminded, "Dusik Kwak, do you really want to collect the fee?" Dusik Kwak got pissed instantly. "Looks like you also heard about the newbie who doesn't want the fee?" Saying that, he threw the soda on the guy's head. "What a drag. Think I would lose to Daegun?" Then Dusik Kwak prepared to leave the room, saying, "Collect the fee by tomorrow." Meanwhile, Sung Hoon Lee did nothing. The vice leader of the class spoke. "Sorry, Sung Hoon Lee. Didn't hear you say anything about the fee. Even being vice leader, I can't help you much. Need me to collect for you?" Sung Hoon Lee replied, "Relax. After all, this is the leader's job. Thanks for the concern. But I'll say in advance, our class won't collect anything." At this time, Dusik Kwak was calling the seniors, warning he would start collecting the fee soon. At that moment, Sung Hoon Lee appeared out of nowhere. Dusik Kwak asked, "Want to talk to me?" Sung Hoon Lee asked soon, "Already collected the fee?" Dusik Kwak replied to him, "Already started collecting," and asked, "Already dealt with Daegun?" Sung Hoon Lee soon spoke. "Relax. Act as always." Meanwhile, Daegun already had the news that Sung-hoon Lee and Jisuk were collecting the fee. He was going to room 8 to talk to Cha Yeonwoo. Daegun arrived at room 8 and asked, "Who is Cha Yeonwoo?" A guy with yellow hair was shocked to see Daegun, didn't expect him to appear. The person next to him seemed quite excited to see Daegun. At that moment, 2 girls said to Daegun, "Dusik Kwak is not here right now. Need him for what?" Seeing this, Daegun said, "Since he isn't here, never mind," and prepared to leave. Seeing Daegun leaving, the guy panicked, thinking, how can he leave like this? At least teach yellow hair a lesson. At that moment, the 2 girls stopped Daegun suddenly and said, "You are so beautiful. Can we record a video with you?" The guy was relieved with this, thinking he would gain time. But in the next second, he saw Daegun refusing the girl without thinking twice. The guy was shocked again. This guy refused the goddess's request. No other way, have to do this. Then the guy pointed to yellow hair and said, "You are very ugly. Even though I don't have the right to call you ugly, you are too disgusting. Every day you force me to say if you are handsome. To be honest, you are ugly as hell." The 2 girls were shocked by this. What got into our leader? Did he finally go crazy? Yellow hair stared at the leader, pointing at his nose and cursing him, shocked for a moment. In the next second, he started laughing. "You are very funny." But in the next second, yellow hair's expression changed and he got up from the table. "You punk, don't know you can eat whatever you want, but can't say whatever you want?" Seeing this, the guy didn't despair at all. Actually, he felt very satisfied, finally saying what was stuck. But in the next second, yellow hair's fist hit the guy's face. Yellow hair started beating the guy mercilessly. But the guy didn't despair. He believed Daegun would save him. But in the next second, he saw Daegun standing without moving. He was shocked instantly. Didn't he say he would deal with the school bullies? But at that moment, Daegun was looking at the girls' phones in front of him. It turns out the girls' phones were live streaming. And in this situation, Daegun couldn't simply teach yellow hair a lesson, but Daegun also couldn't stand there doing nothing. Then he went forward and stopped yellow hair. "Stop hitting him. Even if what he said was offensive, no need to go that far." But yellow hair didn't give a damn about Daegun. "Don't interfere and get lost." The girl said that Yeonwoo and the newbie together are ugly. It was supposed to be the class leader with him, but now he is with no one. The blonde heard and got pissed, cursed Daegun. "Who do you think you are? Don't interfere." Daegun replied, "Never imagined you were so insolent," and grabbed the blonde's hand. "You need to learn to control yourself." The blonde got even angrier. "What are you doing, dummy? Let me go now." Daegun said, "I'm giving you a chance. Go back to your seat and pay attention to class. Otherwise your face will look ugly in front of the girls." The girl said again, "He is holding Yeonwoo's hand. Didn't think he wouldn't be able to break free from the newbie." Yeonwoo got annoyed again, since he couldn't break free, aimed his mouth at Daegun to spit on him. In the next second, Daegun slapped him and turned his head, but the spit hit one of the girls. The girl was shocked and dropped the phone. Daegun thought, there's the chance. Without thinking, punched Yeonwoo. One punch, and Yeonwoo passed out. At that time, Dusik Kwak returned and asked, "Daegun, what are you doing here?" Daegun said, "So you are Dusik Kwak. Didn't see you at the gym last week." Dusik Kwak asked, "Was it you who beat Yeonwoo and the class leader?" Daegun replied, "You can say it was me." Daegun realized he fell into Sung-hoon Lee's trap. Meanwhile, Sung-hoon Lee found Do-hyun Kim and said he was also going to Daegun's fan club. Told Do-hyun Kim, "From now on, I will be the president." Do-hyun Kim was going to complain, but Sung-hoon Lee changed his face and spoke. "Don't trust me." Do-hyun Kim cowered and said, "Sung-hoon Lee, you are the president now." Daegun went straight to the point with Dusik Kwak. "You weren't at the gym, so I'll give you a chance. If you return the protection money by tomorrow, this ends here. After all, I don't want to hit you." Dusik Kwak didn't give in. "Impossible. I already spent the money. Thanks for the tip, but you can get lost." Daegun didn't insist. "The message is given. You better change your mind by tomorrow. After all, if you want to be an artist, it's not good to hurt your face." Dusik Kwak laughed angrily at the threats and already sent a spinning kick at Daegun. Daegun retreated fast and spun to dodge, but the kick threw him into the hallway. Dusik Kwak said, "I don't know why they think I'm going to lose." Daegun mocked, "Because everyone has eyes and sees who is stronger." Dusik Kwak didn't think twice and went at Daegun. Dusik Kwak's strength was good until Daegun got interested. But there were people filming with their phones, and Daegun couldn't concentrate. He kept dodging to avoid being filmed. The girl filming also noticed something strange. No matter where she filmed from, she only got Dusik Kwak's back. The blonde guy appeared out of nowhere cheering for Dusik Kwak and managed to catch Daegun's attention, who let go of Dusik Kwak and went at him. With one hand, he grabbed the blonde's head and with all his strength, threw him at the girl filming, knocking down the girl and the phone. The blonde was lucky with girls, see? Dusik Kwak took the opening to advance. "You dummy, still worried about others?" But Daegun ducked suddenly and dodged the attack, saying, "I won't hit your face," and punched Dusik Kwak in the ribs. The pain made his face contort. Daegun followed with another punch to the abdomen. With those two punches, Dusik Kwak fell to his knees, without strength to fight. Daegun said, "If you don't return the money by tomorrow, your face becomes a pig snout." Dusik Kwak lost his pose and stayed kneeling without saying anything. After dealing with Dusik Kwak, Daegun aimed at Jiseok from class 5. Jiseok didn't even imagine what was going to happen. He was trying on expensive clothes he bought with the protection money. A girl said Dusik Kwak got beaten and that the newbie was coming here. Could he be looking for you? Jiseok realized he and Dusik Kwak fell into Sung-hoon Lee's trap. Said he had to leave, but saw Daegun entering the door. Daegun said, "Class isn't over. Where are you going?" Jiseok looked at his girlfriend and told Daegun, "Let's talk outside." Jiseok took Daegun to an isolated place. Jiseok thought about how to defeat Daegun, but after thinking a lot about surprise attacks or other tactics, felt he couldn't beat him. Jiseok said, "Came because of the protection money? I don't know what you want. I'll do whatever you say." Daegun solved the problems with Jiseok and Dusik Kwak easily. Only classes 9 and 7 had no activity, and the 2nd and 3rd year students students. Asking one by one would be boring, and what if they collected and denied it? Then it would be difficult. It would be good if someone brought this crowd to me. Sung-hoon Lee was also preparing to leave. Dusik Kwak appeared to demand an explanation. Sung-hoon Lee, you bastard! What do you mean by this? Sung-hoon Lee replied, there are too many people here. Really need to make this show? How shameful. Dusik Kwak was shocked by these words. What are you saying, you punk? Did you go crazy? At that moment, Jisuk also appeared looking for him. Sung-hoon Lee said, I remember you two never got along. Do the two losers plan to team up against me? Dusik Kwak immediately got angry hearing this. You punk, you really went crazy. I can take you on alone. Dusik Kwak advanced, but was intercepted by Sung-hoon Lee, who kicked him in the face. A kick sent Dusik Kwak flying. Jisuk was shocked by this, didn't expect Sung-hoon Lee to be so capable. But in the next second, Sung-hoon Lee's fist hit Jisuk's face, making him stagger back. Sung-hoon Lee mocked. What are you staring at? At a time like this, you should attack directly. No wonder you get bullied everywhere. Jisuk got angry hearing this. He attacked Sung-hoon Lee directly, but all his attacks were deflected. Sung-hoon Lee seized the opportunity and restrained Jisuk, then gave a knee strike to his head, almost kicking him out of the classroom. But in the next second, he was grabbed back by Sung-hoon Lee. Soon, Jisuk was completely defeated. Dusik Kwak had also been knocked out by that kick. Sung-hoon Lee immediately said, now you know your own strength. You just need to know that I want to make Daegun the boss. You don't need to worry about anything else. Meanwhile, Daegun was still worrying about how to solve everything at once. When he suddenly noticed someone following him, Daegun immediately turned into a parking lot. Before the person could follow, he quickly ran back. Then he jumped a wall and landed behind the person. Daegun stood behind the person and said, what are you doing running into an empty parking lot? But in the next second, the person turned around and it was actually Yarrow. Daegun was also surprised and asked, are you following me? Yarrow immediately said, actually, I originally intended to follow for a short time, but I noticed another person was following you. So I wanted to follow and see, but that person disappeared at some point. Daegun said, anyway, now it's you who is following me, right? Yarrow immediately explained, I didn't mean anything by it. It's just that you saved me last time and I couldn't find an opportunity to thank you. Daegun immediately took out his phone. If you have something to say, I'll give you my number and you can contact me later. Then Daegun said, it's getting late. Let me take you back. On the way back, Yarrow also took the opportunity to thank Daegun. Daegun said, no need to thank me. It was my fault for accidentally involving you guys. Yarrow immediately said, also, Ji-ina was very rude last time. Ji-ina is really sorry, but I can't tell you the reason. In short, she is too busy to worry about anything else right now, but she will apologize to you eventually. I hope you don't hate her. Daegun immediately said, I won't. Compared to that, I actually have a question for you. I heard your class is an advanced class. How is the study atmosphere in your class? Yarrow immediately stated that initially there were some noisy girls, but they were all disciplined by Ji-ina. As for the boys, it seemed Sung-hoon Lee handled it, although Yarrow didn't know how he did it. When Daegun returned home, it was completely dark. The current situation was also giving him a headache. Since Won-woong Kim, people have been constantly following him. Now things are getting bigger and bigger, completely beyond just kids fighting, especially with the appearance of Heejin Park, which was completely beyond his knowledge. This probably has something to do with Sammy Lee, but he told me not to trust her. The current situation is really confusing, but I don't care about these things. I just need to focus on one thing. The next day, Sung-hoon Lee met Daegun. He asked, Daegun, can we talk? Daegun said, sure we can. I was just considering if I should talk to you with my fists. Sung-hoon Lee quickly said, I didn't collect protection fees. Then he took Daegun's hand and said, I think you are really amazing. Thanks to you, I don't have to collect protection fees. After all, I was the leader of Class 9, and to protect my classmates, I had to collect protection fees, while also being unable to escape the stigma of being a school bully. But I was waiting for an opportunity. After seeing you, I feel I found that hope. So can you give me a chance to help you? Meanwhile, Do-hyun Kim still wanted to find Daegun to seek justice for himself. But as soon as he entered the door, he saw Sung-hoon Lee and Daegun chatting happily, and was immediately shocked. Daegun immediately said, you have been working hard before. From now on, your matters will be handled by him. Do-hyun Kim immediately said, Daegun, you must know he is the leader of Class 9, which simply means he is a school bully. Sung-hoon Lee immediately said, are you saying being a leader means being a school bully? By your logic, Daegun is also a school bully. Do-hyun Kim quickly shook his head, indicating that wasn't what he meant. Daegun immediately said, I know what worries you, but after our conversation, I already felt his sincerity. That is enough. No need to say more. You two shake hands. Sung-hoon Lee immediately stated that before formally starting, they should first gather everyone. At that moment, on the school roof, Sung-hoon Lee had called all those who followed Daegun and was preparing to introduce everyone to the Anti-Bully Violence Committee. Min-soo Kim and Ho-jong were shocked, not knowing when Daegun and Sung-hoon Lee had gotten close. Myung-joon Kim also asked what this committee was for and if they could make money. Sung-hoon Lee immediately explained that this committee didn't have much meaning. Its ultimate purpose is to catch all the school bullies and beat them up. That's basically it. Although, maybe I shouldn't be telling you this. Manho No immediately said, all this doesn't matter. But why are you organizing it? Daegun said, I commissioned him. I want to abolish the evil practice of collecting protection fees in school. Sung-hoon Lee also said that he and Daegun think alike, and that he will be his right-hand man. I'm not just the leader of the 9th, but also the representative. You know protection fees are usually collected by representatives. And I have contacts in almost all classes, so I know who is collecting fees. I know exactly who we have to break. If Daegun is a rifle, I am the scope that helps him aim. At that moment, Min-soo Kim asked why he was with the second-year students. Sung-hoon Lee soon said it was a misunderstanding. He was just going to see the trouble after a meeting with teachers and representatives. Daegun told told them not to talk about irrelevant things and for him to tell the plan quickly. Sung-hoon Lee said that, to end the protection fee, they need to find the third-year leader, Suyok Baek. But, for some reason, Suyok Baek and the seniors are not at school right now. So we have to deal with the second year first, cutting their link with the third year. That way, we make the third-year guys come out of the shadows and get everyone at once. Of course, the fee issue and dealing with the trash should be separated. Already taught everyone in the first year a lesson? Only Sung Hwang-gu from the 7th is left, right? That guy is trash and also collects fees. Needs a correction. At that moment, Do-hyun Kim asked a question. I don't hear about Sung Hwang-gu messing up these days. He just focuses on sports after class and doesn't pick on students much, right? Seung-hoon Lee said he needed to explain what he does after class. His malice without malice is the purest. His obsession with technique turned him into a demon. His sports class is full of skilled people, so he uses that to satisfy his desires. For example, he makes these people fight while analyzing different combat types, technical characteristics, and how they are applied in real fighting. Do-hyun Kim was confused and asked why he would do that. Seung-hoon Lee explained that he is no longer content with improving his own techniques. He wants to perfect techniques through the bloodshed by others in combat. I think he will be the first to look for Daegun. He saw his fighting technique against Dojin Park, and how Dojin Park was led to surpass his limits. A weirdo obsessed with technique, seeing a technique he never encountered and a chance to surpass limits. How would he resist? Probably already obsessed with his fight against Dojin Park. Soon, the day passed. Manho No and the others were together when Min-soo Kim looked back and said he didn't know why he didn't like Sung-hoon Lee. Always thinks that guy is very weird. Manho. No soon said Sung-hoon Lee wasn't wrong. He can help Daegun. Min-soo Kim said he knew everything, but still seemed strange. Let Daegun do whatever he wants. Meanwhile, Sung-hoon Lee went to the second-year territory to find the bully leader. Sung-hoon Lee soon asked how it was going. Seen Suyok Baek yet? The bully leader sighed and said he couldn't find him. Sung-hoon Lee soon said he already told them they wouldn't find him. His head is now focused on studying other things. Hasn't come to school for a long time. The guy soon asked, forget him for now. What is your plan? Sung-hoon Lee said not to worry. Everything is under control. I'll give a signal after a while. You just need to prepare everything before that. After all, a storm is coming. Meanwhile, at Sung Hwang-gu's place, it was as Seung-hoon Lee had said. He was directing his classmates to fight while noting something down. But at that moment, Sung Hwang-gu found that meaningless. It was like studying the physical condition of ordinary people. Someone nearby said they weren't ordinary people. They were studying the sports experts of the class. What happened to you? You've been strange since last time. Sung Hwang-gu stood up, stopped the fight, and gathered the 10 best sports experts. Soon, a group of people gathered in front of him. Sung Hwang-gu asked a guy named Ikubai what he felt when he strangled him last time, if he felt his limits or had the feeling of transcending something. Seems he felt nothing, but it doesn't matter. Next time, you will have a special role. To better observe Daegun's fighting techniques, Sung Hwang-gu made his classmates pretend they were getting beaten so Seung-hoon Lee would warn Daegun to save them. After receiving the message, Seung-hoon Lee warned Daegun. Daegun received the message from Seung-hoon Lee and ran to the location, but Seung-hoon Lee called saying he had something to do and might be late. Even so, Seung-hoon Lee arrived before Daegun and Sung Hwang-gu's group. When Daegun was on the phone with Sung Hwang-gu, Do-hyun Kim was by his side and told the situation to Manho No and the others. When Daegun arrived, everyone was still acting. It was hard for the student to pretend he was getting beaten because he was getting beaten for real. Daegun said they knew how to choose a place. I happen to also like places like this, where no one will discover us no matter how much we fight. After looking around, Daegun realized there was no sign of Sung Hwang-gu. However, Daegun wasn't in a hurry. He thought that after he defeated everyone, Sung Hwang-gu would appear naturally. Meanwhile, Sung Hwang-gu was hidden with binoculars to observe, and a boy asked why he was doing this. Sung Hwang-gu explained that ordinary people can't surpass their limits, only the chosen ones can. The boy said they were the second best of the 7th class, but were they that strong? Sung Hwang-gu replied no, they would be defeated soon. He was anxious to collect Daegun's fighting techniques through them and become stronger. At that moment, a voice came from behind them. You are a huge asshole, using your own friends as sacrifices. Surprisingly, it was Sangbo Sim. Sangbo Sim asked if he was late. Sung Hwang-gu replied, just in time. Meanwhile, Daegun prepared for the fight, but only one guy stepped forward to face Daegun one-on-one. According to Sung Hwang-gu, this guy was a mobile boxer like Sangbo Sim. He said Sangbo Sim lost to Daegun because he didn't know the opponent well, and Daegun already knew about him from Manho No. Sangbo Sim agreed and swore he wouldn't lose to Daegun under other conditions. Sung Hwang-gu spoke. So today is the rematch I prepared for you. Let's watch for now. At this time, the boy next to him was confused. Since Sung Hwang-gu surely knew about Dojin Park's situation, then this Sangbo Sim surely wouldn't be a match for Daegun. Meanwhile, Daegun was ready for the fight. He soon figured out the guy was a mobile boxer. The guy didn't waste words with Daegun and advanced with everything. An attack like that wouldn't hit Daegun, of course. The guy's attack style reminded Daegun of Sangbo Sim. With a light counterattack, he forced the guy back. Then he advanced and kicked the guy, making him stagger. Then Daegun landed another punch on the guy. It took only 2.5 seconds to defeat him. Then Daegun took off his jacket and aimed at the others. The PE class shouldn't be the strongest, but this is very disappointing. Let's finish this quickly. I don't have time to play with you. After saying that, Daegun advanced, punching the lucky one in front. Seeing this, everyone advanced at once. But this crowd was no match for Daegun. Like moths to a flame, they advanced and were knocked down one by him. In less than 2.5 minutes, Daegun dealt with almost everyone. Only one guy remained standing. Still, seeing everyone defeated, this guy finally prepared to act. Seeing this, Daegun spoke. I had some hope in you guys, but this crowd is too weak. I hope you are different from them. At this time, Sangbo Sim in the building on the other side was shocked, not knowing if the opponents were weak or if Daegun was too strong. Then Sung Hwangu reminded him, watch this last guy carefully. You must know him too. He is the strongest in the 7th class, aside from me. And unlike you, he is a speed boxer. But Sung Hwangu never expected to be proven wrong in the next second. The guy had already advanced fast on Daegun, but in the next second, Daegun was faster and landed a punch in his face. With just one punch, the guy flew far. After taking that punch, the guy fainted for real. Seeing this, Daegun sighed. Thought there would be something different, but it's all the same. Then Daegun started interrogating him about Sung Hwangu's whereabouts. At this time, Manho No and the others also arrived at the construction site. Min-soo Kim was asking why Sung Hoon Lee only warned Daegun and not them. Hearing this, Manho No was thoughtful, but could do nothing. Suddenly, Min-soo Kim saw Sung Hwangu's location. They wasted no time and prepared to go after him. Meanwhile, where Sung Hwangu was, Sangbo Sim prepared to act after seeing Daegun defeat everyone. Sung Hwangu wanted to warn Sangbo Sim, but he wouldn't listen. At this time, Sangbo Sim was deluding himself. It's because these guys are too weak. This time, I'm prepared. And his fighting style isn't fully developed yet. He has good sense, but you can see he had no formal training. When Sangbo Sim went down, he bumped into Manho No and his gang. Seeing Sangbo Sim, Manho No advanced and asked, "What are you doing here?" Seeing this, Sangbo Sim provoked, "What are you useless people doing here? If you don't want to get beaten, get lost." Then Manho No spoke, "Looks like you are also planning to go after Daegun." Hearing this, Sangbo Sim mocked, "Looks like you guys are close. How has it been? Doing services for him, you are right. I'm going to smash Daegun now, and after I take him down, you will be my punching bags." Hearing this, Manho No laughed, "You are dreaming. Even if you are lucky to beat Daegun, you are no match for me anymore." Sangbo Sim suddenly remembered the feeling of being dominated by Manho No before, and spoke angrily, "You must know that was unsportsmanlike." Then Manho No spoke, "So what? I'm different outside school than inside." Sangbo Sim then mocked, "Just a dumb idiot who knows how to swing weapons? Let me warm up by taking you down first." Seeing this, Min-soo Kim and Ho Jong wanted to join Manho No to deal with him, but Manho No said no need. "We still have to have some dignity. I'll take care of him myself." In the next second, Sangbo Sim advanced with a quick step. His speed almost shocked Manho No. He quickly attacked with the pen in his hand, but Sangbo Sim dodged with a sidestep. Then Sangbo Sim landed a punch on Manho No's ribs. With this blow, Manho No was at a disadvantage temporarily. Facing Sangbo Sim's tempestuous attacks, he had no chance to counterattack. In despair, Manho No quickly swung the pen in his hand, forcing Sangbo Sim back. But Sangbo Sim advanced again and gave another punch to Manho No. Manho No hurriedly swung the pen in his hand to counterattack, but all were dodged by Sangbo Sim with a step. After the step, Sangbo Sim dealt a charged punch to Manho No. This cycle repeated countless times. Sangbo Sim couldn't help mocking him. "With childish moves like these, do you think you'll defeat me? It's hard here." Standing on the high platform, Sung Hoon Lee was confused by this. Does Manho No know he is that stupid? Obviously his attacks are meaningless. The pen swinging movement was too wide before hitting Sangbo Sim. He would already be hit by Sangbo Sim first. At that moment, Manho No also realized and changed strategy, but Sangbo Sim was too fast. In the next second, Manho No kicked Sangbo Sim's shin. The kick made Sangbo Sim retreat a few steps. Then Sangbo Sim said, "This scene is familiar to me. That was how Daegun defeated me. Unfortunately, you are much weaker than Daegun. That kick didn't affect me, but my punches." In the next second, Sangbo Sim felt a sharp pain in his hand. Manho No rolled up his sleeve, showing several watches on his arms. "I'm sensitive about time, so I wear several watches." Seeing this, Sangbo Sim advanced again. "You are a psychopath." Manho No tried to use the same technique on Sangbo Sim, but Sangbo Sim predicted and attacked first, landing a punch on Manho No. Manho No propped him up again. Sangbo Sim mocked, "You continue to be weak." Meanwhile, Min-soo Kim and Ho Jong arrived upstairs. Sung Hwangu asked, "Looking for Daegun? He is in the building next door." They were going to call Daegun with Sung Hwangu's location, but the guy next to Sung Hwangu attacked. A flying kick on Min-soo Kim, who was going to call, knocked him down, and landed firmly on the ground, kicking Ho Jong afterwards. "No need to call Daegun, we are done here today." Ho Jong, furious with the ambush, shouted, "What do you want? No use telling you. When you faint, you won't remember anything." Ho Jong didn't believe. "Think you can take me down whenever you want?" Sung Hwangu said, "Sangbo Sim's fight is almost over. Let's go quickly." The guy replied, "Relax! Dealing with an idiot is my specialty." The fight between Manho No and Sangbo Sim was also ending. Manho No held the pen and said, "It's over for you." Sangbo Sim mocked, "I'm not done yet," and advanced again. Manho No swung the pen, forcing Sangbo Sim to retreat. Sangbo Sim saw an opening and was going to counterattack, but Manho No kicked him in the ribs. Sangbo Sim mocked, "Your kicks have no strength." A sharp pain made him fall to his knees. Sangbo Sim was shocked. "What is happening?" Manho No said, "Think I'm that stupid? I kicked with the toe, using hard marten boots. Can't even imagine the pain of that kick. I won, which means you can't beat Daegun." Sangbo Sim said, "Don't joke with me, it's not over yet." Manho No was going to kick again, scaring Sangbo Sim. A wave of pain hit his brain. Manho No was also hurt, almost unable to move. Dagon appeared and asked, "Manho no, what are you doing here?" Sung Hwang-gu regretted not seeing the rematch between Sangbo Sim and Dagon and prepared to leave with a friend, but saw the guy was still fighting Ho Jong. The guy couldn't take down Ho Jong, who sent a message to Dagon. Sung Hwang-gu approached. "Are you stalling on purpose?" The guy explained. "He is resistant. I can't take him down." Sung Hwang-gu said, "Your attacks are ineffective." Lifted Ho Jong, who was typing, and said, "Have to cause effective damage on someone resistant." Threw Ho Jong on the ground with a shoulder strike. Ho Jong fainted temporarily. The guy said, "He is tough. It's not that I'm weak." Looked at Min-soo Kim and saw he had woken up. The guy ran to take down Min-soo Kim again. Someone kicked the guy away. The newcomer punched the guy, knocking him down. Min-soo Kim was surprised. The person turned around. It was Sung-hoon Lee. Sung-hoon Lee said, "Why did you come? I didn't call you." Min-soo Kim explained, "We are worried about Dagon." Sung-hoon Lee interrupted, "That's why I didn't call you. You are weak. Just get in the way." Min-soo Kim asked, "Where is Dagon?" If true, Dagon appeared with Manho no and said, "Are you having a party without me?" Sung-hoon Lee said, "Sung Hwang-gu is up to something." Dagon asked Sung Hwang-gu, "What is the situation?" Sung Hwang-gu didn't hide. Nothing. Called the 10 best in the class for a fight and analyzed their tactics. Already collected enough. Going to organize and schedule another fight. Dagon said, "Don't even think about leaving. Today you die." Sung Hwang-gu said, "Let's change location. I want to fight you." Dagon sighed. How troublesome. Sung Hwang-gu asked, "Don't prefer a spacious place? I'll use techniques based on your fight." Dagon's shoe flew towards Sung Hwang-gu. Sung Hwang-gu caught it and was shocked. "What are you doing?" But Dagon kicked his other sneaker too. Flew straight into Sung Hwang-gu's face. "Too much talk. Let's do this." In the next second, Sung Hwang-gu got into fighting stance. "Hope you use all your strength to fight me." Sung Hwang-gu advanced on Dagon. He tried a punch on Dagon, but it was just a feint by Sung Hwang-gu. The goal was to grab Dagon's legs to take down. Dagon was going to dodge when he saw Sung Hwang-gu try another punch, but it was also a feint. Luckily, Dagon reacted fast and dodged. After missing, Sung Hwang-gu didn't give up and attacked Dagon again. Seeing this, Dagon was shocked. Wasn't going to use grappling techniques? Why keep attacking? At this time, Manho no, watching from the side, couldn't take it and sighed. Sung Hwang-gu's destructive power from his abnormal physique, plus those aggressive attacks, make him a formidable offensive fighter. At this time, Sung Hwang-gu's friend woke up and said he was an MMA fighter who knew all techniques. This means he is complete, good at both striking and grappling, so there is no suspense in this fight, no matter how skilled Dagon is without his striking. He didn't even finish speaking and saw Dagon's fist caressing Sung Hwang-gu's face. Then Sung Hwang-gu flew happily. The guy was shocked seeing this, but at this time, Sung Hwang-gu wasn't even desperate and said, "I know you didn't use all your strength. Likewise, I also didn't use my best style." Seeing this, Dagon got close to Sung Hwang-gu. "Suddenly felt like letting you try. I'm curious about this technique you mentioned. Heard your close combat is stronger, so I'll get close and try." Hearing this, Sung Hwang-gu paused for a moment and spoke, "Appreciate your confidence, so I won't go easy. The technique I mentioned, that takes down the opponent instantly, is the judo throw." After saying this, Sung Hwang-gu advanced, but in the next second, took a punch from Dagon. Then Dagon grabbed his arm, then held his head, and threw him on the ground gently. Sung Hwang-gu was confused for a moment, but then realized it doesn't matter who gets thrown. Then his legs lifted suddenly, ready to lock Dagon, but Dagon didn't even care, just raised his fist and punched Sung Hwang-gu. One punch made Sung Hwang-gu stop moving. Then Dagon jumped back and Sung Hwang-gu already despaired, thinking he was going to attack with his knee. If it hit, it would be the end. Then he kicked Dagon away. Then Sung Hwang-gu advanced again, swinging his fist, but that punch was to distract. Then Sung Hwang-gu fell on purpose on the ground, wrapping Dagon's legs. But when he was going to use force to take down Dagon, he was kicked away. The crowd was shocked. Sung Hwang-gu weighs some 90 kilos and was kicked like that. Dagon couldn't hold back and teased, "Did you come to sweep the floor? Keep rolling there." At this time, Sung Hwang-gu realized Dagon was fighting back by instinct. Thinking about this, Sung Hwang-gu advanced again. In technique, I lose to no one, but took a punch in the kidney from Dagon. His attacks never hit Dagon, nor could he take him down, but Sung Hwang-gu didn't give up trying to catch Dagon. After 81 attempts, he caught Dagon and managed to take him down. But Dagon didn't even despair, even waiting for Sung Hwang-gu's next move, who thought he was on top, as if Dagon was the one trapped. But soon, he realized something wrong. Even shaking Dagon's center of gravity with his legs, he couldn't turn him completely. Was always interrupted by a punch from Dagon at the right moment. He finally caught one of Dagon's arms, but took a punch from the other arm on his, which made him lose strength. Realizing it was wrong, Sung Hwang-gu tried to kick Dagon again, but this time, Dagon dodged. Then Sung Hwang-gu only saw fists falling like rain. In the end, after who knows how long, Sung Hwang-gu was defeated by Dagon, and he and his gang had already left the construction site. From now on, Dagon was the boss of the first year, without discussion. At this time, Sung Hwang-gu still reminded, "Dagon, you have to know being just boss of the first year isn't enough. This is just the beginning. So tomorrow, let's deal with the second year." Meanwhile, in Suzy Beck's room, she received a call from Jiseok. Jiseok called to meet. He had to ask something. At this time, Jiseok remembered a scene from earlier. Sung-hoon Lee had gone to ask about Soo-hyuk Baek, asked some questions about what he liked, asking him to ask Suzy Baek where her brother, Soo-hyuk Baek, had gone. Even without wanting to obey Sung-hoon Lee, Jiseok couldn't beat him, so had to ask Suzy Baek. At this time, two girls nearby saw Jiseok. One of them was the girl who always followed Jiseok. The two came to talk to him. Then Suzy Baek came out and asked, "Wasn't it going to be alone?" Jiseok replied, "Met them on the way." A girl said, "What is she to him? And she's so unclothed?" In the next second, Suzy Baek stared at her and said, said, "Shut up and take your hand out of your pocket." Seeing this, Jiseok quickly spoke. "Calm down. Didn't call you to be angry." But Suzy Beck removed Jiseok's arm, aimed at the girl, and said, "Didn't hear what I said?" Seeing this, the girl got scared and took her hand out of her pocket without thinking. Then Suzy Beck pulled Jiseok away. Then Jiseok asked where Suyok Beck was, hadn't seen him for a long time. Suzy Beck replied, "Even I don't know. Said he was going to be away for a month this time. Being away so long, if the bulb burns out, I have no one to change it." Jiseok replied, "Since he is tall and can change a bulb." Didn't even finish speaking and was interrupted. Suzy Beck warned, "Don't even think about going after Dagon. You're not going to ask my brother to face Dagon, are you?" Jiseok got annoyed instantly. "Don't tell me you're crushing on Dagon. Didn't you always hate him?" Suzy Beck got embarrassed and irritated. "What are you talking about?" Then Jiseok said, "Relax. The guy is now the boss of the newbies." Suzy Beck was shocked instantly. Meanwhile, in the principal's office, the security guard found a suspicious guy, and it was Minsu Kim. Seeing it was a student, the security guard kicked Minsu Kim out. After leaving, Minsu Kim took out his phone and called, and who answered was Sammy Lee. After hearing Minsu Kim's report, Sammy Lee didn't believe. The guy was too fast. The next day, when Dagon arrived at school, the first-year crowd already knew he was the boss. Arriving at school, Dagon already went looking for Seung-hoon Lee. Jinmo and the others also arrived at the time, but seeing Dagon talking to Seung-hoon Lee didn't even dare disturb. At this time, Suzy Beck arrived suddenly. "Don't think highly of yourself just because you became the boss. Now you are just the boss of the newbies." But Dagon didn't even care about Suzy Beck. This irritated Suzy Beck, who went at him and grabbed Dagon's collar, but unintentionally pulled a button, showing defined muscles. Seeing this, Suzy Beck turned red instantly. "Didn't want to undress you." Dagon looked down and didn't even argue with Suzy Beck, but asked, "Need something?" Suzy Beck went back to being arrogant instantly and spoke, "Of course, I have business with you. Or think I'm idle? It's good to know I am the queen here, right? Since you became the boss, should come greet me first." Seung-hoon Lee laughed nearby. "By tradition, after becoming the boss, have to greet the second and third-year bosses, but this has nothing to do with you, right?" Hearing this, Suzy Beck turned red again, saying softly, "You are the king of newbies, so it is natural to greet the queen, right?" Jinmo meddled at this time. "Dagon is the king, Suzy Beck is the queen. So what is their deal?" Hearing this, Suzy Beck went there and punched Jinmo. "Are you crazy? Going to talk about this?" Although looking angry on the outside, Suzy Beck was happy inside, agreeing with what Jinmo had said. After hitting him, Suzy Beck took her phone and said, "Give me your number. Don't delude yourself. Want your number to give you orders." Seeing this, Dagon had to give the number to Suzy Beck. After getting the number, Suzy Beck left. Seung-hoon Lee nearby kept thinking about the scene, then told Dagon, "It's time to go." As Suzy Beck said, "Go greet the seniors. And time is short, so take the fight seriously this time. Don't treat like monkeys." Soon Dagon arrived in the second-year territory. At this time, the second-year crowd didn't know what was going to happen. Seeing Dagon already went surrounding, and Dagon didn't even waste time, already went giving a punch. The baldy in front didn't even see what happened before being knocked down by Dagon. Jae-gyu, "Oh, second-year follower of the middle way gang came to greet you." The crowd got irritated instantly. Didn't expect Dagon to cause trouble in the second year, but Dagon didn't even waste time, giving some slaps to these weak guys. Jae-gyu-oh of the middle way followers spoke, "Know who I am? How dare you hit me?" Then Dagon took the phone and looked. Jae-gyu, third in command of the middle way followers, collects protection from students. Lives extorting and hitting others. Committed several infractions. Didn't I say to stop collecting protection? Hearing this, Jae-gyu-oh advanced. "Don't think highly of yourself, you newbie, daring to give orders to us second years." But in the next second, took a kick to the knee, then grabbed his bald head and punched the wall. "You really don't listen." The student who was getting beaten by Jae-gyu-oh and the others was shocked. The guy knocked down Jae-gyu-oh with one blow. Then Dagon turned and asked, "Is everything okay?" The guy stood still for a while. "Why are you asking me? Are you worried about me?" At this time, another member of the middle way followers entered. As soon as he entered, saw Jae-gyu-oh being defeated by Dagon. The guy with ugly SNK Titan face got irritated instantly and took out a box cutter. In the next second, already went at Dagon. "Should have warned you were coming. At least let me sharpen the knife." Seeing this, Dagon grabbed a chair nearby and threw it at the guy. "Sharp or not, so what? Keep it to cut paper." Before the guy reacted, Dagon kicked his belly, throwing him out of the room. Dagon walked up to the guy and, in front of everyone, gave him another kick. The confusion caught the attention of the crowd in the hallway. Seeing this, Dagon spoke. "All second-year members followers of the middle way, get out." The crowd got irritated instantly. "Haven't even grown and already playing crazy? This is second-year territory." With this, many advanced on Dagon, but Dagon didn't even care. This crowd was like ants to my eyes. With one punch, knocked down a guy. Then Dagon entered the room again. A bunch of screams echoed from inside. In the next second, someone was thrown out. Soon after, Dagon left room 2-2 unharmed, turned, and went to room 2-3, the cream of the crop. The room 3 crowd also attacked Dagon as soon as they saw him, but unfortunately they were weak and were resolved in less than 3 rounds by Dagon. One of them despaired, taking the phone to send a message to Ju Gong-myung and to Jiao Kwan. In the next second, Dagon appeared in front of the guy. "Baldy, are you also from the middle way followers?" The guy started sweating cold instantly. "Messaging Ju Gong-myung now? That's it. Should have done this before. Call your whole bald gang here." At this moment, on the other side, Minsu Kim received a call from Sammy Lee, asking about Dagon's progress in the anti-bullying mission. Minsu Kim said now was the second year's turn, but it would take longer than the first. After all, the second year hierarchy was already stable, unlike the first, which still hadn't elected a leader. Compared to the first, first, the second year was more like a gang acting together. And indeed, at this moment in the second year area, Ju Gongmyung had already brought people to face Daegun. As soon as he entered, saw Daegun enjoying a massage. "You are very late. Has everyone arrived?" Seeing this, Ju Gongmyung was furious. "How dare you attack the second year?" Daegun said coolly. "Don't just stand there, come in." Then Ju Gongmyung entered the room. "I think I, as a second-year veteran, need to teach you manners. With a heart full of compassion, I will send you to the other world." After he finished, Ju Gongmyung's gang advanced all at once. Daegun hugged a chubby guy near him, then used the guy as a shield, making the chubby guy sweat cold. In the next second, Daegun punched a guy's kidney. The pain was so much the guy fell to his knees instantly. The crowd coming running stopped instantly. One of the guys was almost jumping, but in the next second, a figure flew past him. Then the guy was grabbed by the collar by Daegun. Then with a punch, the guy was sent far away. Ju Gongmyung nearby was worried. "Bunch of idiots. Who told you to stand in line to fight one by one? If the way is blocked, flip the tables and get him." But Daegun was faster, kicking a table. The guy on top of the table lost balance and was almost falling. Daegun was fast and held him with his fist and gently threw him to his companions. Ju Gongmyung was worried and ordered some guys to go around by the back door. But as soon as the guy arrived at the door, got scared. In the next second, the guy flew and fell on top of his companion. Then Daegun stuck his head out, grabbed the remaining guy and pulled him forward, while the other swung a chair towards Daegun. The two got scared, but the one with the chair couldn't stop. Then the guy brought down the chair, hitting his own companion. Daegun took the opportunity to kick the guy. Finishing dealing with this crowd, he looked up and saw more people coming. Unfortunately, no matter how many there were, no one could hurt Daegun. Ju Gongmyung on the platform was almost shitting himself with fear. The guy was too scary. Formidable wasn't enough to describe him. Facing so many attacks, he not only created fast counterattacks, but also used the terrain and surrounding objects to transform group fights into one-on-one. He handled various situations easily. If he really managed to control everything in battle, no matter how many people came, it would be the same, unless they had enough people to exhaust his energy. But a first-year guy causing the total defeat of the second was already unbelievable. So now they had to win this battle no matter what, or the middle way followers would lose morale, even if these methods deviated from the middle way. In the next second, Ju Gongmyung took a box cutter from his pocket and advanced. But in the next second, Ju Gongmyung froze in place. At that moment, he seemed to be having a hallucination. An entity like a soul appeared in front of him. Seeing this, Ju Gongmyung instinctively rubbed his eyes, but in the next second, saw Daegun already in front of him. Ju Gongmyung got scared and his speech got slurred. "Who are you exactly? What was that thing on top of you just now?" Daegun raised his fist. "Don't know what you were talking about, but you took off your glasses. Which means you want to taste my fist?" Before Ju Gongmyung could react, the fist was already in front of his eyes. A punch sent Ju Gongmyung flying instantly. Meanwhile, Manhwa No and the others just learned Daegun went to challenge the second year. They ran to the second year floor. On the other side, Suzy Baek also learned about this from Jinmo. She pulled Jinmo to take her to save Daegun, but when they arrived, Daegun had already finished fighting. Daegun looked at the information on the phone. "What I just dealt with is Ju Gongmyung, so only the second year boss, Ja Kwon, is left. Hope he appears soon." But Daegun was still waiting for Ja Kwon to appear when, unexpectedly, the teacher arrived first. And surprisingly, the teacher was called by Min-soo Kim on purpose. His goal was to delay Daegun's progress in dealing with the second year students. As expected, the teacher called Daegun into the room to criticize him. At that moment, Chairman Lee appeared in the room out of nowhere. The teacher bowed to greet, while Chairman Lee spoke to Daegun, asking how he was at school and if everything was going well. The teacher was shocked, didn't expect Chairman Lee to know Daegun. Then Chairman Lee turned his gaze to the teacher and spoke. "Teacher Lee, let's talk." The scene cuts to the teacher with his head on the floor, with Chairman Lee pointing a golf club at his head and speaking, "How dare you give orders to Daegun just because he has no money? Education requires nurturing with love. In the future, be kinder to Daegun." Understood what I meant? Daegun watched confused, not understanding anything. After dismissing the teacher, Chairman Lee turned to Daegun. "We already met in the meeting room, but this must be our first official meeting. Come talk to me." Meanwhile, in the second year, Ja Kwon appeared. Seeing his middle way gang companions fallen, Ja Kwon was furious and asked what happened. The guy behind him said it was the first year student, Daegun. "I was elsewhere, so I'm cool. But where were you? When the boss isn't here, everyone gets beaten like this." Ja Kwon then said, "Went to see veteran Suyok back. Don't you know?" The guy murmured, "He must know you weren't here, but there's no snitch among us. How would he know?" At this point, Ja Kwon prepared to leave. The guy asked what he was going to do. Need to think in a calm place about what that guy is up to. Meanwhile, where Daegun is, Chairman Lee explained, "The bullying management project is Sammy Lee's idea. A bully taking care of other bullies. How childish, isn't it? But I found it interesting, so I approved the project. Except progress is so slow I almost forgot. Men must fight and compete. Only reaching the top by any means proves worth. A guy like you understands what I say. End all school bullies." Daegun asked, "And the doors and windows I broke?" Chairman Lee replied, "Don't worry about that. Whose do you think Golden Dragon High School is? Everything here is mine." Meanwhile, there is Manhwa No and his gang. Min-soo Kim was hungry and went to the convenience store to buy something. But as soon as he opened the door, someone blocked the way. It was Ja Kwon looking for them. Min-soo Kim, terrified, stuttered, "Looks like you were smoking." In the next second, Ja Kwon attacks, punching Min-soo Kim's abdomen. Manhwa No and Ho Jong ran seeing this. Ja Kwon throws Min-soo Kim aside and goes to the two. "He who sows wind reaps storm. He who sows evil reaps evil. The consequence of your acts is called karma. And what I'm gonna do is Daegun's karma." Manhwa No and Ho Jong took their weapons. Facing the second-year boss, they had no confidence. Manho no said, "Can't run. Let's attack with the 2 against 1 formation." Said that, the 2 advanced. But suddenly, Jaok Wan accelerated and dodged Manho no. Using the charge momentum, grabbed Hojong from behind and violently threw him on the ground. Seeing this, Manho no quickly raised the crowbar and attacked. The crowbar hit Jaok Wan squarely, but Manho no panicked. The blow caused no damage to Jaok Wan. Jaok Wan stood up and turned to look at Manho no. "Ever heard of adamant body?" Manho no replied, "Let me think what that is," but whispered, "Now!" Hearing this, Jaok Wan quickly turned to look at Hojong, only to find him still motionless on the ground. Then Manho no swung his crowbar at Jaok Wan's groin. "Does your adamant body extend to this area?" But before it hit, Jaok Wan caught it between his legs. "Your observation skills are strong, but unfortunately, I have no intention of becoming a nun." In the next second, there was a loud noise, and Manho no was launched several meters back. Hojong, behind him, had also regained consciousness. He raised his fist with brass knuckles and attacked. Jaok Wan grabbed his rosary and turned to face Hojong with a counterattack. A punch knocked the brass knuckles from Hojong's hand. Then he gave an uppercut to Hojong's abdomen, almost making him vomit last night's dinner. However, Jaok Wan still hadn't finished. He raised both hands and slammed them on Hojong's back. After this punch, Hojong completely stopped moving. Then Jaok Wan walked slowly towards Manho no. "Everyone related to Dagon will be eliminated by me. This is his karma." Manho no thought to himself, "This is bad. This person is not human. I can't beat him. I might actually go to hell. All this life of mine has been like walking on thin ice. Do you think I can reach the other shore?" Suddenly a voice interrupted Manho no's thoughts. Hee Park appeared suddenly and looked at Manho no. "No! What are you doing lying on the ground?" Manho no said quickly, "Run! It's dangerous here." But by this time, Jaok Wan had turned his attention to Hee Park. "Are you also with Dagon? If so, blame Dagon." Seeing Jaok Wan clench his fist, Manho no was anxious, shouting for Hee Park to run. In the next second, Hee Park disappeared at light speed. Jaok Wan's punch missed. It was Dagon who appeared suddenly and saved Hee Park. "Jaok Wan, you delivered yourself to my door. Saves me the trouble of finding you." Dagon then told Hee Park to leave immediately, while Jaok Wan walked slowly towards Dagon. "Waited for you for a long time, Dagon. You gave my middleway gang followers a beating. I wanted to return the favor to your friends, but now that I see you, I can't hold back. I'll send you to hell myself." The news of Dagon and Jaok Wan's fight already spread, attracting the crowd. Dagon was relaxed. Already said this is the consequence of collecting protection fee. At this time, a voice came from a door crack. "Dagon, don't lower your guard. The guy is sinister." Dagon saw it was Manho no. Manho no continued. "The guy is fast and thick-skinned. Not even a weapon does damage." Dagon looked at Jaok Wan and saw the aura was different. He must have entered a higher level. Jaok Wan was so pissed veins were popping. "This time I send you to hell for real." Dagon ducked and said, "Then show how you're going to send me." Then there was a boom and Jaok Wan flew far. Those watching were shocked. Not possible to leave unharmed from this, right? Meanwhile, Susie Beck from Class 6 heard about the ruckus. She pulled Jinmo to take her to save Dagon. And Jaok Wan, after the punch, figured out why Dojin Park couldn't handle it. Dagon said coolly, "Looks like you know your stuff, but not for me." In the next second, Jaok Wan put his hands together, received Buddha's blessing, won't get hurt. At this time, Susie Beck arrived. Seeing the fight, couldn't help worrying. At this, Minsu Kim sprouted near Jaok Wan with brass knuckles to attack his lower parts. It's to erase the punch from before. But Jaok Wan let out a yell that made Minsu Kim freeze. "I would crush you, but you're just an ant. Have no time for you now. We'll fall together with Dagon." Jaok Wan raised a foot, stomped hard, and shouted, "Sixth sense, the flash step." In the next second, Jaok Wan was in front of Dagon. The speed impressed Dagon, but not enough to hit. Dagon raised his fists and punched Jaok Wan non-stop. Jaok Wan only defended, but the punches were like sniper, hitting his head. But to general surprise, Jaok Wan endured and counterattacked fast. "Forgot to warn, my head is hard, won't hurt me." Dagon closed his eyes and gave another punch to Jaok Wan's abdomen. Didn't defeat Jaok Wan, but his attack didn't hit Dagon. After several rounds, Jaok Wan was getting beaten constantly. Soon, Jaok Wan realized something wrong. Dagon's punches didn't feel like punches, were like nail gun, piercing his body and causing internal damage. Soon, Jaok Wan couldn't take it and fell to his knees. Dagon asked, "Where is Buddha's blessing? Wasn't it diamond body? Think you were mistaken. Wasn't any Buddha." Jaok Wan got pissed enough to break teeth. "Don't offend my middle way," and released a Buddha palm attack, which of course missed. Dagon grabbed his arm and threw him far. "What Buddha palm? Until when will you act like a fake monk? If it's real, ask Buddha to protect you one more time, because I haven't finished punching you." No one expected Jaok Wan so weak. Meanwhile, the second-year crowd, the Sacred Ties, also watched. They had connection with Samuel Kim, the fifth member of the Middle Way followers, and Sung-hoon Lee was also from the Sacred Ties. That's why Samuel Kim wasn't there when Dagon went looking for the Middle Way followers. On the other side, Dagon punched so much Jaok Wan had a flashback. Jaok Wan was once a rich guy who had everything in hand. Everything he wanted, he had. But one day, Jaok Wan saw he was going bald, like his father. Jaok Wan saw he could have everything, except hair. One day, Jaok Wan saw a hair transplant ad, instantly asked his father to do it. Except his father had financial problems, the company had gone bankrupt, and Jaok Wan lost everything. Then shaved his head and entered Golden Dragon to make money and have hair again. But Dagon disrupted the plans. Thinking about this, Jaok Wan grabbed Dagon's legs. "Was almost getting it," said, trying to take down Dagon, but he threw the guy on the wall. Dagon commented, "Didn't expect you still had strength." Jaok Wan said, "Now I'm stronger than ever." Dagon didn't want to fight anymore. "Return the protection money and promise not to mess up anymore, and I leave you alone. Protection fee is rule, and I'll tell you why." And attacked again. Jaok Wan seemed in another world. Ju Gongmyung arrived and was shocked. Jaok Wan reached Nirvana. Jaok Wan whispered low, "1,000 hands Nirvana complete." Dagon saw several hands coming at him. Dagon saw Jaok Wan was strange. The guy doesn't even know he's giving his all. Ju Gongmyung couldn't contain his joy. Started laughing. Dagon can't handle the 1,000 hands. Susie Beck commented, "He is very childish. He is just punching faster. That's all." At this point, Dagon didn't rush to counterattack, just dodged Jaok Wan's blows. While Jaok Wan reached a state of altruism, shouting involuntarily, "You fool, why haven't you awakened yet? Before everything here was peaceful. You ruined everyone's peaceful life here. Know that? Without you, I could collect protection fees. Understood the principle of having nothing? Not only get closer to advanced nirvana, but also get a hair transplant." With these words, Jaok Wan was shocked. "Why did I say what is in my heart?" Nearby, Ju Gongmyung was also shocked by these words. He couldn't help remembering how Jaok Wan once asked him to shave his head too. Daegun said, "You finally spoke what is in your heart. Your mouth speaks of the noble middle way, but your heart is corrupted by profit. I heard too much desire leads to baldness. Looks like it's true." Hearing this, Jaok Wan was furious with shame. "You cretin, what do you know?" Daegun replied with a punch. Only one punch broke Jaok Wan's proud adamantine fist, but Jaok Wan wouldn't give up. "Even if I lose a hand, I still have 999 more." In the next second, Daegun grabbed his other hand. "Stop dreaming. Humans only have 2 hands." With that, he punched Jaok Wan. "Wake up and stop dreaming about your middle way." However, Jaok Wan still refused to give up, trying to fight. But in the next second, he seemed to see a giant warrior spirit manifested around Daegun. Although scared, Jaok Wan thought he had Buddha's protection. But in the next second, he felt as if Buddha had abandoned him. Finally, what awaited him was Daegun's iron fist, almost punching Jaok Wan back to his original form. With this punch, Jaok Wan finally lost his fighting ability, remaining motionless on the ground. People nearby couldn't believe what they saw. Never expected Jaok Wan to lose like this. Nearby, Seung-hoon Lee quickly transmitted this news to Samuel Kim. Hearing this news, Samuel Kim actually said it was good. Meanwhile, Seung-hoon Lee looked at Daegun. With Jaok Wan eliminated, the second-year reorganization is complete. Now no one at Golden Dragon High School is stronger than Daegun. The next step is to use Suzy Baek to attract Suyok Baek. Now nearby, Suzy Baek saw Daegun win and immediately blushed, her heart racing. She never expected Daegun to be so impressive. On the other side, the girls were completely fascinated by Daegun. Seeing this, Suzy Baek quickly assumed her boss role and sent these girls back to class. Then she looked back at Daegun. This guy really doesn't put people at ease. At Seung-hoon Lee's location, he met Samuel Kim from the Middle Way gang followers. It turned out Samuel Kim was actually a spy planted among the gang followers. Samuel Kim, seeing Seung-hoon Lee, asked immediately if he had found a way to attract Suyok Baek. Seung-hoon Lee replied that this matter was simpler than he thought, because Suzy Baek likes Daegun. Then he said, "You must know about Suyok Baek and that incident." Previously, Golden Dragon High School and Bangyang High School were giants of Dai City, always competing openly and secretly. But midway, something happened. The organization supporting Bangyang High School disappeared overnight. And it wasn't because of a battle between organizations, but because of Suyok Baek leading his 4 lieutenants. Only 5 people eliminated an entire organization. Since then, Bangyang High never provoked Golden Dragon High again. Suyok Baek used to never interfere in conflicts between Golden Dragon and Bangyang. He only intervened this time because someone from the organization had taken an interest in Suzy Baek and followed her home. Hearing this, Samuel Kim thought Seung-hoon Lee was suggesting Daegun go to Suzy Baek's house with flowers and weights, since he didn't know if Daegun liked Suzy Baek. Seung-hoon Lee laughed. "Although your idea is cute, it's too common. We need a more definitive bait, like putting Daegun inside Suzy Baek's house." Samuel Kim started sweating cold. That bait would certainly be effective. But Seung-hoon Lee said that wasn't enough. Daegun needs to take it to Suzy Baek's room. Now, because Daegun ruled the entire first and second year, the atmosphere of the whole school had changed. The status of Minsu Kim, Ho Jong, and others had increased due to Daegun's influence. When they went to the school store, other students actively made way for them. The news that Daegun ruled the first and second year continued to spread, reaching even other schools. Minsu Kim and Ho Jong had returned to the classroom to find Manho No, telling him what they had seen at the school store, stating excitedly that Daegun was now the boss of the whole school, and everyone respected them because of him. Nearby, Daegun heard this and waved to Ho Jong, then put his arm around him. "Why are you so excited?" Ho Jong apologized. "Sorry, I'll stop joking." At this point, Minsu Kim said, "I still don't get the sacred such in the second year, but haven't seen them for a long time." Daegun stated, "Would be better if they simply disappeared quietly. I don't even have time to study now." Then Manho No asked, "Daegun, are you sure your target is the third-year boss, Suyok Baek? But Suyok Baek hasn't appeared at school for a long time. Besides Suzy Baek, no one knows where he is. We can't threaten Suzy Baek, can we?" At this point, Seung-hoon Lee appeared suddenly. "Finding Suyok Baek is simple. Just build a good relationship with Suzy Baek, then ask her directly." Nearby, Minsu Kim found this difficult. She considers herself a queen. How can we build a good relationship with her? Probably would be scolded just for talking to her. He turned to look at Ju Hee Park. "I remember you two were quite familiar." At this point, Seung-hoon Lee suggested, "Have a brilliant idea. Why not celebrate Daegun becoming the boss, inviting Suzy Baek to a BBQ party on the terrace?" Minsu Kim and Ho Jong were immediately excited excited to barbecue. Even Manho No was looking forward to it, but Daegun found it troublesome. Then Ho Jong spoke. BBQ goes with beer. What do you think, Daegun? Hearing about beer, Daegun remembered the work days when he drank straight. Daegun had to admit he was tempted. Seeing this, Sung-hoon Lee was already giving support. We shouldn't drink, but today is special. Let's go, everyone. Hearing this, Daegun gave in and agreed to the BBQ. Then Sung-hoon Lee spoke. I'll handle Susie back.